Welcome back to the Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Episode 100. We made it. 100 straight Sundays for this fella. The, the greater part of 100 done with Austin as well. And around 10 of them done with our new co-host, Truth Shaman. And I believe, I don't know the exact number, but it's got to be somewhere around like close to like 8 or maybe even close to 10 times King Richard's graced our podcast as well. So a lot of episodes between all of us, and God willing, we have those 4 on the show today. You never know with Austin. He is extremely busy. So I don't know if this Sunday is all of a sudden going to work out. I'm just not sure. We should have King Richard on at some point, and then True Shaman will be joining us here shortly. But yeah, episode 100. Thank you all for supporting us on the way here, and all your comments and suggestions, and just being there. We formed a little micro community on the back of Zach's channel and King Richard's channel, and really appreciate it, guys. And it's fun here seeing you guys in the comment section and talking to you, and look forward to more people ponying up and joining the discussions during these recordings. That'd be awesome to get more and more people involved. Get even just like almost like a, I don't know, like each week can be designated to a different co-host type of deal. That'd be awesome. Or just obviously a panel like we talked about would be also quite awesome. So working towards that still. That is the goal. But until then, do appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for hanging out with us as we go. But as for the episode, it should be all over the place, because we're gonna be talking to King Richard, hopefully, and he always has a lot of stuff to cover. Not only stuff to cover, but he brings a different kind of lens to the discussion that we always and we end up bouncing off each other, and that can go for the length of an episode itself. So before anyone gets in, I'll peek in. I got bamboozled. I did not know that the NASCAR race was Saturday. And then when I noticed it was Saturday, I was like, why of all NASCAR races do you pull this race to be on a Saturday? And if anyone who knows, if you know, August 15th is a big day for them. They're Jesuits, just the guys that have their fingerprints over, on every single racetrack and suburb of major cities across America where these racetracks are built and are. We've highlighted that. Me and Austin have highlighted that very well, and we'll continue to highlight it if new places pop up. We'll look into them. But yeah, so I just find that very interesting. That you gotta pull it back one day for a Saturday. I'm sure they'll have their own reason for it, but either way, it's goofy. And Mr. Logano, when I just saw this today, I was expecting there to be a race today, and instead I see that the race was yesterday. Or maybe I saw that the race ended yesterday. I can't remember. But Mr. Logano won it, I believe, his second win this year. But yeah, I didn't quite look into anything. It's a Virginia race, the Richmond race. So let's take a peek, see, because we're all well aware of Joey Logano's numbers. He's got the 119 and 47. Interesting that 43. At least I think it's interesting. Bless you. What is it? Oh no, okay. What's the 43 I was seeing earlier? Anyway, I'll find it maybe naturally, but yeah. Let's take a peek at this track. A lot of times, it says it's in Richmond, but it's actually most of the time in a suburb of where it is in Henrico County. Let's see. It is in Richmond, though. Okay. Henrico County. So, not that this plays all that often. I just want to see as far as the numbers for Richmond, Virginia. It's commonly written like a piece of mail. Interesting numbers, but can't really exactly place them for this race or anything like that. But let's Logano's got that May birthday, right? It's like May 5th. Or, yeah, is it May 5th? If so, that's interesting. No, May 24th. Okay. Let's check from his birthday. Oh, 84 days. Oh, well, no, okay. No, good thing I checked. 83 days, but a span of 84 days. Interestingly enough. You got Jesuit equals 84. Oops. The Jesuit order equals 84. So, of course, they do this on the inception of the Jesuits, and 84 day, the winner's a span of 84 days from his last birthday. Let's peek into his next birthday. 283 or 282 days. Okay. That's almost something there. Well, from his last birthday is quite interesting. So 84 days. That's one piece of the puzzle. Where? Let's go to driver averages. What was his last win? Okay. So his last one was July 19th. So last month, the 19th. Okay, July 19th. Huh. It's pretty close to another Jesuit holiday. So 4 weeks ago. Okay, so a span of 28 days, but 27 days. What win is this for Joey? His 39th win. What does Joey equal? I thought it was something interesting. Oh, yeah, that's right. Just Joey has the 53 and 55. That's what I was thinking of when I was looking at the Richmond. Well, first of all, Richmond's got that 84 as well. Note that. But the Richmond VA has that 53 and 55 like Joey. That's even though the 107 is a lot like 17 there with numerology. So that's what I was remembering Interesting. What's the Virginia numbers itself? Yeah, Virginia just itself has the 53, 55 too. So interesting. What's his? Has he won at Richmond before? No, yes, he's won at Richmond in 2017. He's won at Richmond twice before, so this is his third win at Richmond. Just for posterity, I want to see from his last win at Richmond. Was this it? Yeah. April 30th, 2017. Let's see from the anniversary then. 107 days. Interesting. Like Richmond, Virginia, or Richmond, VA equals 107. So 107 days from the anniversary of his last win at Richmond. What's Joey's other? Did I mark down Joey? Yeah. What about just a surname? I forget about that. Okay. Was it? I remember his name a little bit better because he has a same name very similar to mine. Oh yeah, his full name equals 84 too. So this was an 84 ritual looking like it. What race overall was it for the number 22? Usually you can Google that pretty well. What's number race was this past race for number 22 car? That was a terrible way of phrasing it. I was like, whoa, bro, what? How many races does the number 22 car have? Over 1,760 races. Did they count this last one? 94. Interesting. We talked about that Bobby Allison. He's one of the famed aerial deaths of NASCAR. There's Benny. I wonder if this is updated, even if it's not, because 95 would be interested, obviously, with the Jesuits countering the 95 thesis, but 94 could be interesting as well, too. What is there a nickname for Richmond, Virginia? I thought there was. Richmond Raceway nickname. The action track. Action track sounds retarded, but interestingly enough, keeps that has that 43 like Joey Logano. Funny. What about the action track? I doubt it. Usually it's just the short way you pronounce things. Action track. But it's called Richmond. Is it currently Raceway or is it Speedway? Oops. Raceway. Okay. Interesting. Well, Joey was the perfect guy. At least, his name gematria matched up very well with. Let me make this a little bigger. Sorry, guys. It's just as soon as you make it that big, you see how it kind of overlaps. I hate that. And you can't like slide left to right for whatever reason with this split screen thing, or maybe you can, but I don't know how. Yeah, Joey, just as what he's called, has the 53-55 like Virginia and Richmond, Virginia both have that 53-55 span of 107 days from the anniversary of his last win at Richmond, and 84 days from his birthday. He picks up the win. You have, and of course, he does it on the inauguration of the Jesuit Order or the Society of Jesus, August 15th. They pulled this race back from its normal Sunday slot for Saturday, and I wonder if it's, are they just going to say it's like the NFL preseason? Let's look it up. Let's look it up real quick. Why was NASCAR intentionally scheduled for Saturday night as part of a planned shift in NASCAR's broadcast schedule? Oh yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, and the truck series just happened to get postponed until the next day on Saturday as well. Oh, boy. Whoops. Guess we'll just pile it all on the high holy day for the Society of Jesus. Huh? Whoops. We all make mistakes. Very interesting. Let me just 100% double check that these invites went out. There's been one other time where I thought I sent invites out. That was just to Austin, though. I thought I sent him an invite and I didn't. And then I was like waiting, but he never even got one. Let me just double check this real quick. So yeah, a couple things I wanted to poke my head in on. I know that there were some different budding news stories this week, but I want to make sure I mention these. It's a hot topic in Oregon and Washington right now. All the flock cameras. I'm sure they have come up in wherever Euro lives, neck of the woods as well. And the debate is basically at a local level, basically saying that, you could petition to have them removed. The next closest thing to this, or I should say what's the word? What brought, the previous iteration of these devices were just like the speed trap cameras, and right before, but months before, because it hasn't been that long in Oregon, at least in Oregon, that they started taking down all of the speed trap cameras in Oregon. They still have speed traps up, but they don't have them like auto ticketing you. So yeah, it's these flock cameras. They're the previous iteration being like I said, the speed trap cameras. Those are all coming down, and now you have the next phase, which, like I was saying, these are at a local level. They allude to the fact that you can like vote these things in or out based on like petitioning your government, but like good luck with that. It's kind of like it was like a faux argument that because of all the pushback on the speed trap cameras is why they took them down. No, you find out that they only took them down because they had these going about to go up. They were going to take them down anyway. And these things auto scan your car, so they're getting way more information than necessary. And they say it's just to scan your license plate, but it gets everything down to the make of your car. So it's basically just another. You got to realize too. Me and Austin have covered this heavily. The fact that there are under hush. There is hush. What's the word? They are pushing Teslas like crazy, and I'm sure that there's employee discounts, but then on top of that, there are credits I'm sure that you can get in order to buy, just like very similar to what they did when Priuses first came out, how you get a major credit if you bought the Prius. I'm sure that there was something like that under the table, hush for a lot of these Prius, because I mean they have exploded. I mean, you go 10 miles down the road, you're counting way past 10. You're counting 20, 30 Teslas. Good. Like, I am not joking. I mean, granted, I am in like, I'm sure it's like this a lot for a lot of the country, but like I've noticed that in like Oregon and Washington, things trend harder. So it's like if a car is trending, like if you guys don't know, Subarus are like big deals in the Pacific Northwest. It is a thing. Like you see Subarus all over the place. Like it's nobody's business. Everybody just thinks you got to have a Subaru. It's just one of those, what is it, eclectic? I don't know what the word is for it, but very much so. Maybe it is like that in the Pacific Northwest with the Teslas, but I'm sure it's like this all over the country. You got to realize that you're bouncing info off of these cars. Granted, there are cars that have already been doing that. And as soon as you signed up for a car that's OBD2, which is, not that, it's rather old at this point, you're already, signing on to a car that keeps track of things through a digital computer, and all those things can be tracked. And if you've watched any like forensic shows, then you know that they can look into the car's computer, and there's low jacks in cars that it's not meant for you to access. It's just for, think about OnStar. That is a very weird, you should look into OnStar. It's a very weird thing. But either way, there's like hidden OnStar in Teslas that's bouncing information off of all the cars around it already. Now you're getting flock cameras. This is very much so Matrix. If you're looking at a grid, you're going to see, if you're looking at a grid of cars and you're looking for a specific car, you're going to find that car based off all the information. But all that being said, I will take a pause to allow the introduction of my co-host, Truth Shaman. What is going on, brother? How's the pups doing over there?
Oh, they're great. They got a little excited. We had some excitement just happen right before I hopped on here. We have a invasive. It's called the yellow-legged hornet, and they're invasive down here in the southeast. They're coming out of nowhere. I've never really even seen them until this year, but there's been a bunch. Occasionally, I got my window open back there. Yeah, one just flew right in here. It's like probably the 10th one I've had to fight them. Yeah,
interesting that it's an Asian hornet,
right?
Maybe created in a lab. I don't know,
dude. So I've had to kill them, right? Because I mean, dude, they're wicked. They're like 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. They're huge. It sounds like a drone flying through your room whenever they.
Well, they are technically classified as drones.
So yeah, while we're on the true, right? But like, how silica are they really? You know what I mean? I think this is a silicon hornet. Because one of them I kind of inspected it after I flopped him, hit him with my flop, and I don't know, man. It was just weird looking. Yeah, it was weird looking. Like, I know it might sound wild. But I swear I saw like a holographic like on the body of it. It was like it wasn't the wings where they kind of have that look. It was on the body of it, like kind of. and I swear I kind of saw like there's like a holographic spot on it or whatever. I don't know, but
got some Bill Gates hornets going on.
Something, man. Something.
Bro, this one's got some superhero colors. The European hornet. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It says that they're not generally. Yeah, this is just what they.
Well, okay, hold on. I'm wrong. So it's not the yellow leg one. It was the other one, the European one. That's the one they are.
Oh, these ones
on the right. Yep, that's it.
Red.
Yep. They're huge, man. It's crazy.
Invasion.
Oh yeah. Is that red? The red markings on that map, right? I'm in it. Yep. $1840s.
I'm sure that they were just very docile hornets, but when growing up, I had a hornet's nest in my grandma's garage, and whenever I would go in there, admittedly to eat dog food, I used to snack on dog food when I was a kid. Anyways, could have left that out, but it's important context for this story.
Hey, I've worked in a kennel. I've thrown some dog food in my mouth as well.
So, but yeah, I would like go in there and like hang out with them. They would fly on me, and I've always had good. I remember one year I was barbecuing for this event camp I worked at, and there was this hornet. I was like feeding it little pieces of like raw meat, and it was just flying around and just hanging out on me. My only contention I've had with the bug community is with yellow jackets. Now those guys never liked me. I remember we had an underground yellow jackets nest, and I got volunteered to go out there, and we tried to flood it out. No, that did not work. But I was the guy who had to go stick the hose down there, and we had it under like a garbage can lid. I lifted the lid up, and it's just like, and then I stick the hose in there and run away. I didn't feel anything at the time, but by the time I got inside, I was just like dotted. I got stung like 30 times.
Yeah, dude. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe I got stung by some yellow jackets. They had a nest in my backyard. It was in the ground. I was walking around. I live because the lake's my backyard too. Mm-hmm. And so I was hitting golf balls and I stepped right in it. And man, they just started attacking me. My hand swelled up. It was like 3 times the size it was because I got one.
You might be allergic.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Even a mild allergy with those things, they'll flare up. They'll go away if you're not like severely allergic, but initial flare up with those is pretty much unavoidable if you're anywhere allergic to them.
Yeah, they mess
similar to spiders.
Yeah,
a lot of people think they have like a gruesome wound because they got bit because they had this huge lump from where the spider bit them. But it's like if that same spider bit somebody who had no like allergic reaction to spiders, it would just be a little 2 dots in your arm.
Right.
And so people freak out when they see it, but they're mostly just mildly allergic to what is it? It's just like, I think it's similar venom type things.
There's a dude on YouTube. His YouTube channel is called My Backyard Outdoor or My Outdoor Backyard is what it's called. And he has like a bunch of awesome videos on like snakes that are he's really good about keeping it like to our country as far as the United States goes. So like, and then, what insects you might find in your house or your backyard, and explains, he's got a great channel. Let's just put it that way. When it comes to insects and snakes and like, lizards and stuff, I like his videos. So.
What was it called?
Maybe it's My Backyard Outdoor. I always flop the words on it.
It might not be all one word too. Probably not this. Let me Google it, and Google might be a better.
That might be it, or Google or YouTube for search for deadliest insects in the U.S. That's like his cream of his crop. I'm sure one of his videos might pop up.
My Wild Backyard.
My Wild Backyard. Okay, that's it. My bad. I don't know why I was throwing the outdoor in there, but My Wild Backyard. I like. He's got a good channel.
Have I watched this guy's? Because I'm a spider lover, so I've probably seen a video or two of his. Because like Oregon, I've come across a couple of different trapdoor spiders.
Yeah,
and like people are so scared. Like the biggest spider in like Oregon and Washington, it might not be the biggest spider, but the like biggest common spider is like a brown recluse, and people are so scared of these things. And
that's literally his video he dropped today is on recluses.
Oh, well, there's different. Sorry, not brown recluse. Brown recluses, I think, are venomous. Yeah, those are the ones you don't want to mess with too much. Okay. Not brown recluses. Whoops, wolf spiders, or is it? What the hell am I thinking? Damn it! Is it wolf spider? No, Adrian. What are the spiders that are everywhere? No. Okay.
I'm talking about like black widows.
Is it the? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wolf spiders. Here we go. These guys.
Yeah.
Everyone's so scared. These are so common. They're all over the place. But like just the other day, we were all watching a show, and there was a pretty big one crawling across the floor. And I just make a point of showing my son and my daughter. I don't suggest my daughter just pick up every random huge bug she finds, but I was showing her, that you just gently nod it into your hand. Create a space for it that's not like suffocating it or like pinching it. You just take these things outside. That's where they want to be for the most part anyway. And I'll say this too, we house a lot of spiders, and because of that we have corners full of like webbing with a lot of bugs in them, so they're doing their job. So yeah, there's certain.
As far as wolf spider, sorry, Chomper over there. That's one of my dogs. He likes to get. There's this one sock. There's a specific sock that he likes to snatch up and try to chew on, and he's just annoying the hell out of me. But as far as the wolf spider goes, right outside my door, my front door, there's a windowsill right there, and there's a wolf spider there, and dude, he's got just the biggest. I've just let him chill. I'm letting him thrive. And it's really cool with him being right on the window like that, because I get to see a lot of his action, like a lot of his his kills or him wrapping them up. He's right next to this bucket I kind of throw cigarette butts in, and I messed up and I accidentally flicked it, and it went like right in his little funnel, and it's right in the middle of his thing. And he's a decent size one too. His funnel is probably that big around.
Yeah,
he's a big dude. But and I was like, oh, dude, I put it right in his doorway. It landed right in his funnel. And so I was interested to see what he was going to do. Sure enough, the next morning I woke up and he had worked it and thrown it out. It was right there hanging in another part of his web. It was cool.
He just writes no littering and webbing on your window. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize whenever it went right in there. I was like, oh, man. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I knew he could take care of it, though. He's a beast.
Yeah, I found quite a lot. This is probably the second large one since I've been out here. We have a shed that I was like remodeling, and when I was like taking some of the paneling off, I disturbed this one's, and that was tied for the one I just saw last week. I lifted up a garbage can. I accidentally like destroyed his funnel web too, but he was a massive dude. But yeah, I'm just
for the most part. I let them chill and do their thing as long as they're not like in my way or like a threat or like, in a spot to where like my dogs might bother them and want to get in something happen to them. That's more
as far as wolf spider. Yeah. Wolf spiders aren't gonna do any kind of damage. Like if your dog gets, bit on the tongue or the nose or something, I'm sure that they'll have a little annoying reaction to it. But they're not like brown recluse. That was a total mess up. Brown recluses are quite dangerous as far as their bites.
The ones I have the most of are the cellar spiders. They got they're kind of brown with the really thin legs, And
yeah,
from that my wild backyard, from his channel is where I find out how good those spiders are. So I have them all over the place.
They're that's what I was saying. They're all in the corners of our house.
Exactly, and I leave them there because they do their job, man. We just coexist together. And
man, the other
spiders, thumbs up. They're awesome.
The other week, it was like a few weeks ago. There was a mama gave birth on our ceiling fan right above me. And there were babies raining down on me all night, dude. They just kept coming. I was just like, get off me. Well,
there was a big one in the corner of my bathroom that did that. I saw it. There was like so many eggs or whatever. And yeah, it was like not too long after that. They were just everywhere. But I was getting a treat out of the dog treat box was yesterday, and it freaked me out just because I wasn't ready for it. And I stuck my hand in there, and somehow there was one somewhere right on that box, and he wound up landing like right on my hand, and it made me jump. I was like, "Whoa!"
Have you ever seen Arachnophobia?
What's that?
Have you seen Arachnophobia?
Yeah.
The movie?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that movie's awesome. It's legendary.
That didn't do a lot for spiders in the US. I mean, the cereal box. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, that right there is the and like I guess one of the iconic one was when he, there was the one crawling across the TV and then he flips around the TV and they're all everywhere. But yeah.
So in that movie,
I was rooting for the mom.
Dude,
I was rooting for dude. Pulsating.
He takes that, exactly. He takes that wine when he takes the wine bottle and baseballs that thing across the basement. Oh my gosh!
Actually, makes like a thud hit because it was like thick.
Yep. It's kind of wild though, because John Goodman is in that movie, right? He's the exterminator, the big fat exterminator.
Oh, yeah.
Roseanne's husband. I guess it was before that, though, right? And so John Goodman's in that movie. What's kind of interesting to me is John Goodman and I are brothers from the same alma mater where I went to school at Missouri State University, and he went to the same school. Back then it was called Southwest Missouri State University, but he played football for the Bears. Actually, I'm wearing a Bears. Got the logo right there. Go Bears, baby. Go Bears. So, and it's just like, think about John Goodman's career, right? I think about this because he just visited up in Springfield, Missouri, where I used to live. Recently, I saw a picture from someone up there that saw him or whatever. Brad Pitt, actually, we were talking about Brad Pitt. Someone just took a picture with him in Springfield. He was in Springfield just like, I guess, a few days ago, because he's also from there. We talked about that, I think. But yeah, John Goodman, his career. Wow, look at that picture. Oh my gosh. But his career, he was in Big Lebowski, Roseanne. He's been in all these movies, had such a long career. And so I just kind of sit back and think about what kind of, like, in my opinion, what kind of evil has he been involved in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see.
Raising Arizona, that was a good movie too, with Nicolas Cage back in the 90s, late 80s.
Not familiar with that one, but
yeah,
of course he's
10 Cloverfield Lane. Have you seen that one?
No, but is that or maybe I have it? It's the one where he's like kidnaps a girl for her own good type of deal.
Yeah. That's
I might have seen that
because it's got kind of like a doomsday prepper.
They've done that in a few movies. They did that in like Black Snake Moan. Wasn't that basically the exact same thing, only with
Is Samuel L. Jackson in that one?
I believe so. It's that one girl.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, just the name itself is just like, bro, how is this not a porn title?
Yeah, right.
I guarantee you this got parodied. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that picture
Christina Ricci. Oh, snap. Freaking Casper chick.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy. Like, Christina Ricci's had such a like weird career where it's like she wasn't in anything after Casper, basically. Well, she was, but it's just like no one cared about. She was kind of like, so to see the Casper girl, this is her next. It's just like, yeah. They'd love doing that. Like with the current ones right now is like 7 from Stranger Things. Like the cast of Stranger Things have all been like, you see them you watch them as kids, and then their next roles after that show is like getting naked in some like teen coming of age movie type of thing. It's like they love doing that with like, I mean, Miley Cyrus, all these people.
Yeah, man. They try to get one of those like young adolescent actors, have a role to where they really strike fire and catch people's attention, especially the younger, demographics. And then that, they kind of harness their fandom, if you will, and then they just trying to walk them just a little bit this way, a little bit more this way, to the point to where you got Christina Ricci. She's no longer best buds with Casper. She's chained up in her underwear with a black eye, and Samuel L. Jackson looking wild. Wild, buddy.
But hey, he was morally straight.
As long as she's happy, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, he was morally there.
True.
His methods were different, but like as far as what I remember, I did watch this movie. This is an old movie.
Kind of a little Old Testament vibes ish, I don't know.
Yeah, 2006. I was in high school. This is a blockbuster movie that we watched.
Yeah, I graduated that year. That was the year I graduated high school.
I think I watched this my sophomore summer, so going into junior year. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, it was just funny that they use this trope. I've seen it done like a couple of different times where it's like this. It's like the kidnapper. The whole movie is set in just that one setting, basically, and maybe flashbacks or how it came to be is the only like scenes that aren't centralized in this. In Black Snake Moan, it was that guy's house, and this one in 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's this guy John Goodman's house. Interesting.
Well, he's in that movie right there, Fallen. I've never heard of it, but I mean, just the names of some of them. Fallen, The Emperor's New Groove, kind of a play off of like The Emperor Wears No Clothes. That's a whole concept.
This has to do with Lucifer. This movie.
I'm not surprised with that name.
He plays a detective in Philadelphia, of all places. Interesting.
Synagogue of Satan.
Oh. Okay. James Gandolfini's in this one.
R.I.P.
Same. No, is Donald Sutherland still kicking? I think he is, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He died just a couple years ago.
Okay. 62, Faustian Bargain, 620, 62. Yeah, because there was a lot of
died at 88. Interesting. In Florida.
There's a lot of parody with him and Donald Trump as far as being because he was the president. Donald Sutherland was the president in Hunger Games.
Oh, sorry.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we'll all be playing Hunger Games soon enough.
Dude, it seems like we're closer every day.
You know what? There's a part of me too. It's like, obviously I got my family, so that's obviously not what I want. I'm just saying, it's just like, There's a part of me, like part of my ego is just like, hey dude, bring that shit on. I'd rather go out like that in certain ways. Not really, but
I think I would get a kick out of this. I would do a lot of people watching as far as the looks on people's faces whenever they realize that they're not untouchable. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people have this like just this suit, like this falsehood, that this bubble that they think that they're untouchable. Yeah, dude, I just think it's seemingly like that is going to be a thing of the past soon enough. Unfortunately, everyone will know that, man's law will be in effect then.
The plot of this movie, like I said, this is about Azazel. Azazel's conflated with Azazel is basically considered one of Lucifer or Satan's like high tier minions. What is it, like Beelzebub, Azazel? These are the ones that actually affected humans when they came down. Like their mission was to like warp and like not in like a sadistic way, like to humans, but it was like to befriend humans, become like an idol to the humans, and in through like giving them things. So it's like Azazel, I believe, was the one that gave weaponry. So he taught man how to like forge weapons, which knowing that there was going to lead to fighting and war and stuff like that. Another one, I know that there was like a female entity that was like supposedly gave. It's like some of these things are like interesting. It's like, well, why is that bad? But the point being is it's almost like the time movies trope, the time travel trope. It's just like you're not supposed to affect it. Even if you think it's for good, you're not supposed to like mess with the experiment or with time, or else it'll blow up in your face, kind of deal.
And you're saying that there's like time on my side. They're talking.
I saw that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all about like a killer who's like using Azazel as like his. I don't know. It's an interesting sounding movie. I don't want to kind of keep reading it because maybe I'll look this movie up. It seems interesting. A 98 Denzel movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Movie's loaded. I mean, look at all those actors and actresses on this loaded movie right there.
Absolutely. The original Gandalf, James Gandolfini. Anyway, I'll try to keep this one in mind. But yeah, no, it's your original point and question. I would assume, with as prestigious of a career he's had, it's just like, who is he? Like there, it comes a point. It's just like, why John Goodman? It's like what it boils down to me is it's like roles that are being filled, and like this trope that he plays, the big fat guy, the big fat like dad guy, like that has like a long reaching history. That particular persona, if you will, has it needs to be repeated, just like the heroes, just like Troy or Achilles or Hercules. All these things, just they have theirs too. They have their guys that are repeating. But that like, because it's like otherwise it's like, is he just like the best actor? Do people like really revere his performances on Roseanne? Was the way he sat down on the couch just like riveting, or was he right on the nose with his humor, with the laugh track? Why did John Goodman go on to have such an illustrious career? Was he just, I could ask the question a bunch of different ways, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, and you make that a great point of how they have that trope and they just keep playing it because, like you were talking about with Troy or something like that, but you're talking about the fat dad kind of character. And it's like, yeah, not only do they need multiple and replay that role in different people, but in different forms. They have multiple cartoon versions, Peter Griffin, Homer Simpson. There's this trope of this like dimwit, overweight dad that's like clueless and just winds up skating through, some way, somehow in all these problems,
And then, he plays. Well, what I was kind of getting out too is just like he became iconic. It's just like people know, obviously, his role in The Emperor's New Groove, as well as definitely know Sully from Monsters Inc.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's huge for that. Like his voice is Sully. Like no one will know. Like if they ever made another one without him, it'd be, very, very different, is what my point is.
Be lacking, to say the least.
But he was also in the Flintstones. This is an early movie that I saw. I didn't see a lot of movies growing up. I remember it was like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was a main movie I saw. Jumanji, the Flintstones. There was very few movies I saw growing up. The movies were like Disneyland. Like when my mom said we were going to the movies, I was like, somebody pinched me. Is this real? Because like we were pretty damn poor and just things like that did not just turn up on a whim ever in my life for the most part. So I remember the very few movies that I went and saw. And yeah, the Flintstones was one of them. Very weird movie. Very weird.
In a way, that's such a gift, though, in my opinion. As far because like you know how to appreciate something, then.
Oh, of course, I mean? Yeah.
Like there's lots of people out there. Like I was just watching Chomper. Cut it out, bro. I was just watching. There's like this girl that was driving like 60 in like a 20-mile-per-hour road and wound up hitting a golf cart that had a husband and wife. They on their wedding day. They just got married. This girl kills the bride and injures a bunch of the other ones. And she's literally this is after she knows that she killed somebody in her car. And she's in there in handcuffs, like crying like a little brat about getting a phone call to call her dad. And she wants to go home and all this just wild stuff. And then even it was like the day and 2 days afterwards on jail phone calls that were recorded. And it was this big pity party. Woe is me. When she just ended someone's life on their wedding day, and she's all worried about, and she literally phrased it, I don't know why this is happening to me, is what she said. And it's like, how detached from like, common.
Well, everybody's playing like single player games. Like that's what everyone thinks they're in, is a single player game, without realizing they're actually in a massive multiplayer game, an MMO, and they are the ones, walking around. I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm a main character, but they don't realize they're the NPCs, or at least they live their lives like NPCs, and at least their their belief system is that of an NPC. They're what they cling to and what they emulate is that of NPC behavior. They don't see it that way because to them they're the center of it. Interestingly enough, in this movie, I was talking about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Then again, Rick Moranis was in basically everything at a certain point in time. He was a hot commodity. He was like the actor, which is very weird to think about because it's like, this is not the archetype of today. You want to be talking about a guy looking like Rick Moranis as the actor of today. Like it's been like, what is it now? Pedro Pascal. And it's like, obviously it's been Brad Pitt, and that's post Rick Moranis. But yeah, Rick Moranis was hot stuff.
In all fairness, you also don't want to be talking about a woman that looks like Rosie O'Donnell either, right?
Yeah, she's tough. As far if I hadn't seen her and Donald Trump in the same room, I would have questions. Right. But yeah, there's why I mentioned that is because he played Barney opposite Fred Flintstone in the Flintstones movie, so that was goofy. And that's really what he played. He was like, even as he played Barney, which first of all, Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone are both the archetype that we were just talking about. They're both the goofy dad guy. It's just that, it's very similar. But Rick Moranis, he was kind of archetyped into his Honey, I Shrunk the Kids role. He always played that like nerdy or just like straight-laced dad kind of character, even though like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids he's not like straight-laced. He's like trying to be, like he's doing his best to be normal even though he's quirky. That quirky, I guess, is the best word, but he's trying to like be normal. But anyway, Honey, I Shrunk the Kid movies are very interesting and they're very telling as well. I actually saw the Honey that I Shrunk the Kids, the Jay Dreamers we've talked about. His breakdown of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is very good because those movies are about, like, obviously those old movies are about a lot more than shrinking down. And there's always, like always in the 90s movies, there's heavy adult themes in family movies, like heavy adult themes. And so it's kind of awkward. It's like, it's not really awkward. It shouldn't be awkward, but that's kind of like a test to see how far we are, because it's like you'll watch it now and you'll be like, ooh, like kind of cringing at some of the stuff. And you'll be like, wait, why am I cringing? I wouldn't have cringed in the 90s. Why am I now? Is this really because I want to cringe at this? Or is it because I'm like programmed to?
Well, I saw this thing about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. This video is like kind of like mini doc about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and I can't remember what the director's name is, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was originally supposed to be like a horror film, a scary movie, and they wound up adapting it. At the time they wound up adapting it into kind of like a family movie instead. But yeah, it was supposed to originally, like screenwriting wise or written wise, it was ideally thought out to be a horror movie.
Of course,
which makes sense. It's a terrifying concept if that was reality in real life,
Yeah, it would have made a good horror film. I can imagine. There's some pretty harrowing scenes in that. Yeah, of course, he's iconically in Spaceballs. Right. What is it? Darth Helmet. Now, one thing I just saw like a meme of this. It's not like I peruse memes either, so it's just a random meme I saw about the Little Shop of Horrors. I totally forgot that. I remember seeing like ads for this back when I was young, or like poster of it or something, or at the like movie store or something like that. But I never knew what it was. I still don't know what it really is, but it almost looks like kind of like on the same realm as Beetlejuice type of movie, where there's like, it's a mixture of like human and monster adaptation type of weird world. Spaceballs is a great movie. If you guys haven't seen Spaceballs, I'm not sitting here trying to say movies are great, but there's certain movies. Spaceballs is up there for parody movies. It's got to be one of the best ones. It's like Airplane, Spaceballs.
And you got to take in consideration that there is a distinction as far as like just the way that the way movies are made, and as far as topic and graphics wise, all sorts of things. The way that the movies are made today is just different than they were made in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. It's just not even. It's almost like apples to oranges, in a way, in my opinion. Trying to compare a movie that was made in like the mid 80s, late 80s, compared to a movie that was made today. It's not like necessarily one's better than the other. It's just like almost completely different. As you can see, like today, there's such a big focus and attention on making a series. There's multiple movies or a universe, how they have the DC or the Marvel universe, and it's like, and every movie bleeds into the other movie and any adjacent type of areas, or sometimes they'll be even blending the two that aren't even like related, and they wind up doing a crossover somehow, and it's a little much sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's long-term audience retention is what they're going for now, and that kind of diminishes any a lot of the value found in the actual movie. But then again, I don't look at any new age titles for value as far as keeping my attention, or like I've given up on film a long time ago, especially after I learned how formulaic it is, and we've talked about this. But interestingly enough, John Candy is another one of those. He was a contemporary of John Goodman, and just a couple of fat John guys playing the fat husband goofball. John Candy was I think the other one along Goodman that were like hot commodities as that role, is the fat guy. I mean, I think Candy had him beat by a few years. Was Goodman after Candy just a little bit? So Candy kind of bled in, or Goodman kind of bled into Candy's already career. Yeah.
Halloween birthday right there.
Yeah, interesting. When was John Goodman? Good Man and Candy. Yeah, no, they're pretty much contemporaries. Pretty much the same time.
Could you go right back to that John Goodman one?
Interesting. I will, but he died. He dies at 44. Interesting. Anyway, go ahead.
What were you saying right there?
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, that picture or that video right there, that Facebook, Like, I'm pretty sure that's in Springfield, Missouri. Oh no, that looks like it might be
This
a
is Hollywood premiere. I don't know where it looks like that. A storefront, I guess.
Yeah. And so he's 74 right now.
Yeah.
He's got the 6/2 or 6/20 birthday.
He's a good man.
116. I'm pretty sure when you're looking at Cloverfield Lane, I think that movie came out on October 16th is what it was saying. No,
March 11th.
One of them that you're looking at, I saw the 10/16. Yeah, it might have been that.
Yeah, I know it's better for you guys, but it just changes makes it so much harder to navigate. May 23rd. No. I don't think I looked at Monsters Inc. Was it Fallen?
Yeah, that was it.
January 16th. Interesting.
The 116. Okay, yeah. I knew it was one of them. I knew I saw 116 in one of those movies of John Goodman. So it's interesting. His name's got the 116. Well, what were the other numbers for his names? I bet you he's got a couple movies probably that have come out on, his value in a different cipher or something.
Yeah, I was going to look up his full name. Oops. John Stephen Goodman. Just a good old man. And I mean, just like Goodman. Just like that is who he plays. He just plays Goodman. He's a good man. His heart's in the right place, but he's like a goof. He's like well-meaning. He's a good man.
They really do tell you a lot with the names. The actor or actress's names. He's been married since '89. That's pretty good, I guess. That's pretty.
Probably his handler.
For real. Wow. She married down. I can tell.
Is that his daughter? Oh, it is. Damn.
So her name, Evangeline.
Mm-hmm.
Like evangelist. She's 35. Okay.
Birthday's coming up. She'll be 36 soon.
Well, he's been married to her since '89, and he hasn't had to sacrifice her yet. So that's pretty good.
I mean, this is tough. This is tough to look at.
Yeah, like his picture right there, and then look at the one right next to it. Look at how different that is. And that one below, he looks like the Michelin Man, dude.
He was filled out.
So he definitely got on the Ozempic, it looks like.
Yeah.
And so do you know those GLP-1 drugs? Do you know where they get, like, what the derivative is for the Ozempic?
Bat cum.
Close, not too far. It's Gila monster venom. Reptile venom. It's reptile venom is what makes.
Dude, that's the whole Holes plot, bro. That's the Holes plot.
Oh my gosh, that's true. I didn't think about that. So they're literally playing it
kissing
out.
Kate Barlow.
Because that's what Ozempic is. Ozempic is Gila monster venom. It's reptile venom.
Snake oil, almost. If you want, almost in a way.
Yeah, it was like when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. They would put reptile.
Like, how do you synthesize Gila monster like that? It's just like things that don't need to be like. That just tells you somewhere there's a Gila monster farm that they're being like milking Gila monsters day in, day out, raising them to be like. First of all, that's sad to think about. I don't care how vicious the animal might be. You don't house it and put it into those conditions. Anyway, I'm against that kind of stuff all across the board, especially when it's done for fucking makeup and bullshit. It's just, it just drives me up the wall. And yeah, anyway, I think, that's one of those sins that will be waged against us. Like in the Jesuits' eyes, I'm going to take this to the serious route right now. The Jesuits, this is one of the sins that we are committing. We are using products that they're open about it, 100% open. Monkeys are being held captive, bred, and into captivity so that we can test effects of makeup on their skin because their skin is kind of close to your skin. Pigs the same way. We are, what's that shit called? Where you take swaps of their skin and do different experiments with them based on, to see what kind of reactions you get. This is also, you can have your different colored lip liner so you can look like a whore a little bit better. And it's just so, and I'm not singling out just women. This is like, the same thing applies to, I'm sure plenty of other things that affect everybody or that we all kind of sign up for. And the fact that we're not going full in against them, even if it's like guerrilla tactics to shut these places down. Now you'll look at things like PETA and stuff. It's like, these are opted. These PETA and stuff, this is what they throw out there to say, there are people doing it. You don't have to, because people already are. Their PETA's on it. They're trying to. They're throwing blood at the celebrities. They're trying to do it. They're trying to just get all these things. No, that is one of the things that they throw out there to make it seem like that we shouldn't have to do anything.
Right.
And that's why they're always retards. The people that get on, as the spokespersons and the main figures for these groups are retarded. So that you'll see and think that, so you don't want to be them, but you'll say to yourself, oh, they're already out there, but I don't want to look like that retard, so I'm not going to do it. Either way, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be associated with these retards, but I'm glad somebody's doing it. So, but then again, each year, and how many makeups come out in the new catalog. And it's just, these kind of things are just so ridiculous. It's so funny too, because we were even watching The Fountain, and it's just like those animals were bred into captivity, waiting for, and like inflicted with cancers and then like diseases. So it's like they get to wake up as a baby and grow into a test tube type environment only to be like injected with diseases and experimented on to see if you can get them to go away. And if they don't, then you just die a terrible death either way. It's just, and that's
so like that part of The Fountain and like the point you're making right now, as far as like testing makeups and all sorts of different stuff. That was one of the things, if you, people out there should go look into what Anthony Fauci was doing with the NIH before all this, 2020 stuff was going down. Whenever he was at the NIH, he got this is like documented, where he was running trials on beagles, on dogs, beagles.
Yeah.
And he was doing different kind of torturous things to beagles. Like one of the things they did, they were like scalding them and burning them, and they would stick the beagles in this cage where they were kind of in this cage from like half their body up, and they were letting like rats eat them to the bone and seeing how long they survive and stuff. And then he'd pull them back out half eaten to the bone, and just wild, torturous, horrific stuff. Like what?
And that's the guy telling you to, it's so funny. I was gonna say, that's the guy telling you to wear 4 masks. And by the way, them telling you to wear a mask, they were all punking the fuck out of you. And the fact that so many people like went with it, like knowingly, like in public. I did do it at my job begrudgingly. Unfortunately, it was me and my girl's job. And, I hate admitting it. It's not that I hate admitting it for my own image. It's like, I hate, that we did go along with it, but they do make it feel like it is, do or die for your business, especially when it comes down to your business where, your checks are still approved by a federal bank. So unfortunately, that is kind of how that went down for us. But either way, We were as lenient.
I had to as well. There's just different things you're talking about, to save your business, which was totally on the chopping block. One of the biggest things that was attacked from that event was, small business or
especially restaurants,
not corporate-owned businesses. It was devastating to that whole industry. But there were other things. If you had to go to a courthouse to take care of something, there's just different things that if you had to go do that, you had to put a mask on, or else your function wasn't going to be fulfilled. You know what I'm saying?
And and of course there was a play on.
Not a thing I feel proud of myself about for the times that I, participated in that, and the whole time it was ever on my face and covering my face. You can feel it in your soul, or at least I could, that it was wrong. This is not a right thing. This is, just weird.
Well, first of all, just how logistically backwards it is. I mean, I've talked about this several times, but the whole rigmarole of working at a restaurant, and these families will come in all masked up. They will get seated. They will take their masks off. And I guess in their own little bubble, they are not infecting anybody else with this deadly disease that has to be contained. And they will touch everything, and they will eat off of everything. And we have a dishwasher who's going to touch everything that they were just eating off of. And as long as that guy has his mask on, what is he good? And then they'll put their masks on that they were touching with their fit, because they take their mask off, so you're touching it. And then just people all automatically touch their faces enough without a mask on. You know how many much more face touching happens at restaurants when you put masks on everybody? It's so antithetical that it's actually gross. First of all, it's gross because if it's warm too, you're talking about sweat buildup and humidity buildup from breathing. And the fact that they were initially suggesting everybody get those cloth masks that do absolutely nothing but suffocate you and give you, I'm sure, what's that shit called? Hot ass breath. You get hot breath wearing those things, and then you're just condensating everywhere around your mask. You go to adjust it, it's coming through the mask. There's no, it's worse. It's spreading, but that's what you were told to wear. Anyway, this loser, I had heard about this, that he was involved in this, and of course, on the heels of, this whole bullshit. Well, I guess not on the heels. This is on the back of, Donald Trump's presidency before, warp speed, and then he's out of there at those, at warp speed. Here you go, warp speed, everybody, and now I'm out warp speeds, so I don't got to worry about it. But anyway, not that, these are all puppets on strings. I'm not saying he is the guy that so many people are convinced that he is. But anyway, what was I going to say? Fauci and Elon, the ushering in of Elon Musk after that, and all his Neuralink. They do all their testing on monkeys as well. I've highlighted this on the show. It's really, it's one of those things that it's like the expose. When you can take it, when you really know what's going on, you realize that the exposer is the thing. The same people doing the expose are doing it because they are getting ahead of it. They want whatever is going to be leaked is a controlled leak. It is it's once again, it's a placebo effect to our brain to say, just like the Epstein files. Oh, with each leak, with each thing that look, somebody's plunging deeper into the conspiracy. No, they're not. They're just giving you a little bits and pieces here and there, and they have the whole narrative wrapped around their little finger. Us thinking that it's like some closed off loop of people in this one type of society across these few islands. It's like, bitch, please. They're in tunnels. They're all over the world. They're right in front of your face. They're snatching up kids here. They're breeding kids there. This is not some. And it's like, is there any closure to it? Is there where would the closure come from? There's not been a single celebrity or anybody arrested. Now, the only one that's been arrested it's during this entire time has been Diddy. And I'm not saying they're truly arrested. I'm just saying like that's the only one that has any kind of links to that kind of behavior or world. And that's kind of some BS because you already know, just like through the nature of it, that, you know, just the nature of celebrity, all these parties are filled with less than 18-year-olds. Maybe not, I shouldn't say filled with, but they are there. And, you know, obviously these people are what, thespians at heart. They're lovers at heart. They would, you know, they would parade around as, you know, they would have no problem dipping into the honey, if you will. I don't mean to make it sound like tempting from my point of view, but anyway, yeah, it's just the nature of these things need to be abolished. Hollywood needs to be abolished. It's not like we're reliant upon them on movies. And you brought up Marvel, you brought up the MCU, and like you were saying, the conglomeration of movies, and that was why you brought it up. But I do think a larger kind of discussion could be had about Marvel, especially coming from me. I used to be a huge, I guess you could say, Marvel fan because I was a big, like as a kid, I really liked Spider-Man and the X-Men. And I used to collect the cards, the trading cards and everything like that. A lot of people don't even understand that back in the day, there was trading cards that I'm sure there maybe is some version today, but like back in the day, it was just such more of a artistic thing. But anyway, not to say that these things weren't doing what they were supposed to do all the way back then. They definitely were. They were, you know, they were faux parenting children. That's why they got as many tube TVs into people's households as possible. So those cartoons on Saturday and Sunday could rot your kid's brain, just like you hear your overbearing adults all say that's rotting your brains. And so and you know, psychologically it makes you do it. You know, you if the adults protest, that makes you want to do it more. They know that. And that's why they're always hog tying the parents. They're always making it harder for the parents to be the authority in the household. And so putting robots into the households that are going to speak to your kids when you're not there and instill ideas when you're not there, that was their number one goal. And that was well achieved because even poor people had a tube TV with rabbit ears. And so equate that to the modern day. Everybody's got a cell phone, no matter how much money you have. They were like, oh, okay, well, the amount of destitute people in America is rising. Fuck it. Free phones, free everything. Just they need to have those things. So I don't care about it. Was never about money. Who cares? We'll just have everybody else that still has money pay for them without protesting. That it's apparently can be free. So why is anyone being charged if it's so easy to give it to everybody? And you remember the argument too, that it's like these homeless people, they need a phone so they can not be homeless. They got that phone, they got the tablet, they got the laptop. They're posting up anywhere with a Wi-Fi signal. They're not going and looking for work. What the fuck? They're streaming Netflix.
All the stuff that they would have to go get the job for to pay those bills, they're already taken care of, man. So
very good point. Yeah. Absolutely perfect point. You're right. The average things that we pay for, streaming services and entertainment, like that's a budgeted thing for the average consumer person. They get those things handed to them so that they don't have to participate in that aspect of humanity, yet they are still playing their role. They're still the pariah is a role in humanity. It always has been. There's always been a moral argument about the pariah, no matter how far back, or if not. That's not to say that every stage of history I believe was real, but like the trope of history is still there. The beggars have always been there, even in the Greek history books. Like some of the beggars were like philosophers and stuff like that. So anyway. Either way, that it brings up a moral discussion, and why moral discussions also hog tie you as far as your social. I was going to say standing, but that was just on not social standing, but your social like in current day, like look at the climate of today. And I kind of brought this up earlier too, how I was saying like being like offended or cringing at something from like a 90s movie or a 90s TV show. It's like, am I actually finding that cringy, or is it because the standards of social norms today have like triggered me into thinking that because I don't really actually care about that. So the same thing kind of applies to like discussions about, you know, nowadays it's, you know, people's sexuality and good luck, you know, going out and confronting homeless people on like their nefarious activities. It's like, no matter how crazy an area of your city gets, there will still be people that, like Pavlov's dogs, will defend those people just based on the like cultural, like the social conditioning to pity certain people and like benefit of the doubt a whole group of people, which nothing should be done group wide. Nothing should be done group wide. That is a stupid way of like dealing with things if possible. Now, I'm not to say that you always get the chance to individually recon every single person, but I'm just saying, like, if you can, it's not a good idea to judge, you know, the whole of everybody based off of a small group or a group based off of one person. But like, you'll see these homeless encampments where, like I'm talking about, I'm not one of those people that defends just like, what I'll say is evil. These people, they know full well what they're doing. They are, now, not to say that I wouldn't want a way to hands up, walk away from the societal constraints and burdens, but to put yourself as a burden on others by doing so on purpose, and then to just be brazenly grotesque. Obviously, I say grotesque having to do with the drug use and the things I've seen related to their drug use. Just even today, playing basketball with my son, there was just a crackhead going nuts. Anyway, and that's at a park, 100 feet away from all the kids, and it's just, anyway. But they're, just leaving everything everywhere else. Like, what part of being like homeless means like your struggle? Why does it mean leave your shit everywhere? It's like, no one's going to arrest you for dumping into a dumpster illegally. No, if they're going to get arrested for something, it would have been something you're doing right there on the street in front of everybody. So don't act like you can't be a decent human being behind all that. And just because you're on the street doesn't mean you have to use drugs. Although I'll say the state doesn't make it very hard to get them. I've bore witness several times to unmarked cars, government vehicles with Karen-esque, I guess what you would, what's being visualized as, your average Karen Democrat type of person. And I'm not partisan. I don't give a shit about all that. I'm just saying this is what these people look like.
Oh, I can see what you're talking about. You say what you said describing, I can see it. So yeah,
going around to the homeless encampments by the one I live next to in Portland, and handing everybody free drugs and needle kits and everything like that. And so it's like they go to you and deliver it to you. Not to mention there's some underhanded black market for RVs. That there is. I've been told like, oh, they're just stealing them. It's just like, okay, but like, from where? Where are all these RVs coming? How do they all get? I'm talking about like, in the time I lived at this townhouse I lived in Portland, I saw 100 different RVs. And I'm just like, and they would subsequently park, they would get burnt to a crisp, they would finally get towed away, and a new one would show up. And it's just like, I would love an RV. I don't care what condition, as long as it hadn't been methed in. I would love an RV. I would love to I would love the process of fixing it up and like having it here on my property. Someone could use it. I thought about it for a while, even for like Austin. That was like one of my plans, is like looking for a cheap RV so that if Austin ever had any kind of interesting turn in his life where he needed to go somewhere, he could come live on the property and help me out. That's something we discussed a long time ago.
That'd be awesome.
but yeah, it's insane to try to buy an RV, and it's just like you go looking for an RV. Any RV from the 90s is vintage, so it's even more. So, but yet somewhere they're handing these RVs out to just all the druggies to go live in city blocks and terrorize the neighborhood. And I'm 100% being serious. I don't care what kind of flack I get from this. I have these kind of discussions with my sister, and she just has like a golden heart kind of thing, which, like I said, there's good and bad in everything. Obviously, I think it's easier to be around people with what I consider golden hearts. They just think the best of a lot of the situations, or they think, and that's not to say she doesn't see the corruption in the world. She definitely does. But, when it comes to like what she's been so pushed and programmed into like minorities and things of that nature. We got to protect Palestine, every type of thing. And I'm not saying these things aren't real. I'm not trying to say these things aren't real. I'm just saying she prioritizes this like level of, I don't want to be mean about it, because it really doesn't come from a mean place. It's just like I'm trying to just describe what the difference between me and someone like that is. I just don't give it as much credence. I don't give it credence like, or what's the word? Whatever the fucking word. Doubt.
Like enough credit, basically. Like
no, not credit. What's the term? With benefit of the doubt. I don't give a lot of things the benefit of the doubt. I think that is a problem, giving too many things the benefit of the doubt. You shouldn't be doubting. Like if you're doubting something, go figure out what it is. That's where I stand on it. And so rather than sit there and give things benefit of the doubt, go look into it. Go look into what's real about it, or if it's something that you should be carrying with you or worrying about. Before jumping in and making it a part of your whatever the word, persona or whatever it is. So yeah, just like, anyway.
Well, like, so it makes me think about like the boomer age. And like the generation before the boomers, the greatest generation, like that's my experience as far as in this lifetime. I have been around people that were from those generations. And when it comes to them, like I think that's a lot of the problem, is that we've lost. Now, granted, I don't agree with those those older generations. They had it wrong, in my opinion, whether like when it comes to like race and certain things that they made a big deal about, like when it comes to race and other things like that. But as far as their approach to life, like you said, like, if there's a problem, getting out there and figuring out the solution, and it's too soft these days. Participation trophies, always cradling, like for me personally in my life, hitting a rock bottom was life-saving and super necessary. You know what I mean? Like you can be robbed. People, society at large. A lot of times it used to be like my mom has attempted certain things in my past to where she tried to like swoop in and like save me or whatever. But really, when it comes down to it, what happened was I got robbed of my opportunity to experience a rock bottom. Because you can have more than one rock bottom or things that are perceived like a rock bottom. And what those opportunities are, what those experiences are, is a lesson. And it's a clear indicator of work and change that needs to be made in one's personal life. And if someone comes and throws that mattress or that cushion right before you fall and hit the rock bottom to cushion that experience, well, it didn't have the effect or any effect that person needed. And it's just, a lot of times it used to be really familial, whether it be a parental figure doing this or something like a family member going in. Now it's like systemic. It's like the system as a whole is not allowing people to experience rock bottoms for things in which they should. And then now we're giving people grief or challenges and obstacles of things that make no sense. And a lot of them are and will come from like these flock cameras that you were talking about earlier. There's such a focus and an energy and an economic expenditure in going after people who are like pretty much following laws and being, functional citizens. Whenever, like you were making the point, it was Eastine over there. No one's even gotten in trouble for like major stuff like that. Like there's major crimes and frauds and atrocities being committed that totally get protected and a blind eye turned towards. Yet now they want to put these flock cameras and other technical devices. Like there's one called Leonardo device, which is like, it's like an electronics. It basically fingerprints and it keeps track of all the devices that normally travel with each other. So if you have a Bluetooth speaker, you have your phone, you have whatever electronics in your car. And if instead of just like flock camera being a vehicle fingerprint, these Leonardo devices, they're even worse. And it makes it digital. It's basically tracking through IP and like and Bluetooth addresses. And so even if it's not your car, if you're someone that rides with somebody a lot, the flock camera can vehicle fingerprint the person who owns it, and the driver of it. But you're not even going to be able to be riding in the back seat with somebody. It'll be able, these Leonardo devices will be able to read that your phone is in this car. So even if you're not the driver and there's no license plate tied to you or whatever, you being in the car, you're not incognito anymore.
Yeah.
But, and this is my point, it's like they're trying to put these on every pole, putting all this focus and energy and attention onto people who are pretty much law-abiding citizens that aren't causing problems. And while we just won't even do anything to people, like, as far as the pedophile epidemic, that's the real pandemic, is a pedophile pandemic is what it is, man. And these people don't even get in trouble, really. You know what I'm saying? But now they're going to crack down on you if you are driving a little too fast or, say something bad on the internet or whatever. These are the things that are about to start happening. People are going to start getting ranked up out of their house for things that 20 or 30 years ago, you wouldn't even, it would blow your mind to even think that there's going to be legislation or a law could be broken that way. You know what I'm saying?
The other thing too is, don't get it twisted. Donald Trump, as his persona is, one of his major things he wants to do is make more and more statewide be the legislator, like statewide legislation, almost as it's an altruistic thing. Like we're moving back to what the founders kind of wanted, this small government type thing. Well, here's the thing about that. First of all, federally, they still own your ass and they still own the states, and always federally they will, because who's writing the checks to the lawmakers in your state? The federal government. They are always beholden to the federal government, and they will do what the federal government says. They give you little stories that make you think, oh no, my state, we abolished ICE. Portland, we put blockades at the ICE detention centers, and the police were even helping, and the police shut down. Just like, yeah, okay, no. Even just this what we were just talking about, like when Portland quote unquote voted for their hyper Democrat liberal new governor, Tina Kotek, one of the first things she did was abolish fentanyl after having it be super hyper legalized. I'm talking about Portland was hyper legalized. It was little pop-up shops. Come get your fentanyl. Come on, fentanyl, hot and fresh, ready, fentanyl, come on down. And then and then everybody's like, that wasn't good enough. You needed more and more and more. So let's get the liberal in people's minds. I'm not saying this is how it actually works. These people are puppets on strings. Understand that the elections are rigged, but they get this like bull dyke Tina Kotek in, and she reverses it. the liberal LGBTQ lady, she comes in and she's not actually on your side. This is how they love doing this shit. They love doing this shit. Just like the Republicans taking away guns right now. They love fucking doing that shit to you. And hell yeah, brother. Texas just we got Greg Abbott. Now it's just wait, how many more shootings in Texas do you think it's going to take? How many more before he'll say, my hands are tied? Sorry, buddy. No, dude, this is bullshit. This is so anyway, the stateside legislation, they'll be trumped by the federal government regardless, but this is why it all is one conversation. All of these things preside over one conversation, and it has to do with like the moral grandstanding. Everybody thinking that certain things are untouchable to like discuss or think about. Like I was talking about with the homeless, like you think, socially it's such an unpopular thing to like be against the homeless. You know what I mean? But this, just like in all different eras, there's different types of things. It's not saying the homeless is ridiculous. Not all of the homeless, of course, not all of the homeless are out there doing drugs or blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, look at the percentages. We're talking about in urban areas. These homeless people are out there waiting on their free drugs with their free phone. And I'm not envious of their free stuff. I'm talking about the social impact that they're having and how all the things openly. It's because of these social programs is why you're having to pay more and why you have to pay in more and you have to pony up more for the cleanup. And also just think about the social effects for your children and where you're allowed to spend your days. These parks that we pay our tax money for, they're all camped out and fucked up. And there's people doing drugs right next to your kids and who knows what else is happening. All the bathrooms are always closed down because they're completely destroyed because apparently you can't use a bathroom as a drug user without destroying it. And just the destruction of everything too. Now, if this was coming from like a anarchy level, like I could start to kind of like understand. It's like, oh, okay, they're coming in, they're doing it from within. They're saying, we're going to ruin these places. They're trying to wake up, the flock to, maybe it'll spur on the common people to fight, but that's not it. There's no fight to join with the homeless people. You try to go join a fight with the homeless, they're just, hey, you got drugs, you got food, they don't even want food, to be quite clear. They function, they're zombies. They're not eating regularly anymore. They're solar powered. They can sit out in the sun just like turning gray all day long. And I'm sorry, this is a brash and I don't mean to like make a joke of certain things. It's still tragic. I talked about this to my son too. And also what I told my son, because like I said, his bus stop at the time he was going to school physically before I got him out of it was there was just a homeless encampment. Like I said, in and out with these RVs and every once in a while they would encroach into the school bus stop. And I was the only parent of all the parents that kids took the bus right there. I was the only one I ever saw. Not a single other parent cared. Like, I guess high school, you're a man, you're a woman now. Go get molested or go have something, go get stabbed with something. What about that has anything to do with your coming up as a turning into a man or a woman? All I ever saw was just like kids at risk of anyway. So
yeah. That's terrifying.
And like I said, they would encroach sometimes and I would have to go deal with it. Like we'd have little guys, sitting under blankets, smoking crack or smoking fentanyl, just feet away from the bus stop. And I would have to go deal with it. And I had to pull a knife on a guy one time too. But I was telling my son, when I would talk to him, I would say, like, to explain to him, it's not like a dehumanizing thing. I don't look at these people as less than human. I look at them as a subsect of humanity. And I tell him, this can be you. Don't get a big head. Don't say that you would never be. I think that's what spurred me on with this conversation. He said, like, I could never end up like that. And I was like, yeah, you could. Mm-hmm. You don't think it'd be that hard? First of all, like, it seems kind of like inauthentic or to compare certain things, but I got pretty heavy into drinking. I've been offered coke. I've never done it. I've been offered other drugs that I've never done. Like excuse me, hard drugs. And to think that all that is like a Y in the road. That's all that is. I went the path that I didn't do it, but you don't think if I tried it that one time, I wouldn't have maybe like, that's the other thing I tell them too. I'm like, there's a reason they're doing this shit. I'm like, I'm honest. I'm saying like, dude, I bet you that shit hits. I bet you that shit's crazy. It's not good. Obviously, it's not good. You can see it's not good. It's terrible. It's the worst thing. Don't ever do it. But don't say that you could never. Yes, you could. You can do it. Like I bet there's a program out there getting started to let pre-18-year-olds get a hold of the stuff.
You got to think about it like this. Like, yeah, you have to be realistic, and like you're saying, oh, it probably hits. Like I'm sure there is good feeling to it, and I've made some stupid eras of life, times in my life, and so you got to look at it like, think about it in this way. Obviously, it feels good or great, even. If it didn't, people wouldn't throw away their complete life over it. If there wasn't some sort of kickback off of it. Yeah. Oh, are they getting something out of it? Absolutely. And that's what's so scary about those substances, is that they're able to hijack someone's mind so severely to that point, to where they will throw away their family, their own children, their place of living. Who cares about a job? People don't care. They will throw away their complete life just for that substance. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And it traps these people. And there are a lot of people that are displaced or homeless that wind up there honestly, some really just unfortunate circumstances that happen and they find themselves in, and then they're on the street and whatever. But be realistic. We got to be realistic here. And a lot of people choose to be out there. A lot of people flipped a double bird to their family, who probably were trying to be there for them and doing everything in which they could possibly do for them to help them and save them. Essentially, a lot of these people made their choice. They made their choice, and they would have rather gone and continuing down the bad path, just destroying their life, getting high, and it doesn't matter. Reckless abandon, whether it be family ties, a place of living, they don't care. And so there's this gray area, and it both multiple things are true at the same time, I guess, when it comes to like the homeless problem. But especially, I mean, like you were saying, that they basically legalized fentanyl up there.
Oh yeah.
That is unbelievable. I didn't know that. It was like literally there's like shops that people could go to. Absolutely. I mean, how many people you think died? How long has it been like that?
Well, you just talked about, like I said, they brought in a liberal governor, and that's the one that reversed it. So they flipped. They did me and Austin talk a lot about on this channel about the pendulum swing, and they love delivering the blow with like one of your own, and it's so like you are completely. They don't want us ever being like fully balanced. They don't like us feeling balanced or like secure in what's going on. So they'll always keep us off balance with how they do things and who delivers it. And here, let's look up I mean, dude,
I can only imagine, because like fentanyl is so potent, so dangerous. I mean, I can only imagine how many people. I bet you whatever the numbers are, they are fudging it. It's on the low end. I bet you it's way more. If they have pop-up fentanyl shops out there, if they were having that, I mean, man.
They were called like, it wasn't like shops where you go and buy, but it was just like spaces made to go and get clean needles and fentanyl from the government, and a place to do it and dispose of your needles. So it was kind of like masquerading as like a help to your community, because at least they'd all have to go to this one spot where the government is actually working, and you can't leave with needles, and you can't, you'll dispose of all these things that can potentially cause disease and harm to the neighborhood. So that's like the idea. But I think the reality is just, you just signed up thousands more that would have, seen, I'm not going to go do that. It's, it's pretty risky to live that life. Well, it's like, oh, take away the risk. Come on down. And you get all these people. And what do you think happened to those people when the shops went away? Now they're living that risky life anyway, and they're not going to go back because they got the taste. So
they call it harm reduction is a term that I've heard used for things like this. They call it harm reduction. And it's like, I would just take a little caution and to look into anything. They are still using the word harm in that term, harm reduction. So they're still causing harm. It's just a reduced version of it. Now we're playing semantics over here. That's a harm. That's a program that causes harm, period. It's just a reduced amount of it, whatever.
So here you go. In 2021, they decriminalized it. So I guess, semantics wise, I guess I shouldn't say legalized it, but that's practically legalizing it. They weren't ever going to really arrest anybody for fentanyl possession or anything like that. That wasn't like class A drug running type of fentanyl, I guess. But like I said, possession, small dose grain possession, which is 90+% of the people who have fentanyl is just the people doing it on the street. Basically saying that the homeless and the average people that are getting a hold of fentanyl, they were not even they were looking the other way. I'm talking about these people are absolute like unconscious acrobats. The things I've seen these people do, there's people like doing like stage 10 yoga poses and just holding it for hours. So it probably unlocks like some Krishna something going on in your spine or something. I don't know. But
stimulate all your chakras at one time, buddy.
Seriously.
Hey, have you ever looked into it? It's called Measure 110. The 110. Have you ever looked into the gematria behind it? Like what does fentanyl equal or decriminalize? I bet you there's a 110 somewhere in there.
Fentanyl, actually.
Okay.
Interesting. He's got that 3438. Good. You really want to be on fentanyl because nobody's ever died over fentanyl. No, there's been no fentanyl murder. Yeah. Promise you that.
Yeah. Yeah. Take note. That was a harm reduction, everybody. Triple match with murder. It was a harm reduction. Or wait, almost a triple. It's a double match with the alternatives.
Yeah, it has got
the reflection.
Swaps reflection there.
Well, and so, you said measure 110 is what that was called. And it does have the 119 and the 38 simplified to 11. So.
Actually, it's funny because like the two biggest measures in my lifetime as far as like the news, when I think back was like just the ringing in my ears was when I was a kid, or maybe not a kid, but what was Measure 11? I remember Measure 11 as a kid, like being a popular thing in Oregon.
Huh.
Oh, that was about prison sentence lowering. In 94, like I said, when I was this is the crazy shit. Like this is what the TV did, y'all. I was 4 years old, and I do remember Measure 11 coming up again in my youth, but it started in 1994. So it's like that's just letting you know, like just that how many times the news said Measure 11, Measure 11, Measure 11, Measure 11, to the point where I actually freaking memorized it. And
look at that. Funny. Look at how much of how related in a way, but a contrast. In 94, Measure 11 was strict mandatory minimums, 70 to 300 months. And then Measure 110 here later on down the line is decriminalization. So one of them is setting mandatory minimums, you're going to prison, and the other one is letting you walk around with what formerly were known as felonies.
Yeah.
And they're nothing. Like small grain possession.
Yeah, I wonder what agenda could be behind that. Probably nothing. It's probably just probably just the best for us. That's probably what they're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're probably just waking up, putting their shoes on and saying, how can I make everybody else's life better? I don't want to enrich mine at all. I just want everybody else in my states to just have a great day today. Hey, that's what people wake up like.
Solid memory on the Measure 11 from 94, by the way. I got to give
it's just funny that it's like that's second big measure, because I remember 110 being a huge thing too. Like I said, this is when I was living in in Portland still, and this was a major.
I mean, dude, that was a solid retro old pool right there, man.
Measure 11 just has that ring to it too. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. And just like it's super interesting to me how it is like the exact opposite, the contrast of where one is setting mandatory prison minimums, and then that one is decriminalizing, prisonable offenses. Basically, there is no way that fentanyl and heroin or meth or something like that should be decriminalized. Absolutely not. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life.
They did it on April Fool's Day too. Hilarious. But also, here's just showing you Tina Kotek was the one that recriminalized it.
April 1st.
By the way, nothing's happened with this. They could go into any home. Our prisons would be completely packed. I'm sure they already are for many reasons. But like, if they were doing this, we would need outdoor. We would need like mining camps set up for how many people in Oregon are on the street doing drugs. There's never any police cars pulling up and like doing anything about these people. And I'm not saying I want, that's what I want. By the way, just the police being the ones to handle this is the whole nother topic. I was going to say when you were done talking too, that about, playing devil's advocate for the person who says flips the double bird to society and ends up on the street. Obviously, I've already listed the things I disagree with doing just because you're not living the normal, the quote unquote normal way and contributing society in that way doesn't mean you have to become a burden. Doesn't mean you have to become obvious, make other people's lives worse. That's not necessarily the goal. But at the same time, like the pariah plays their role the same way the VIP does, the same way the stock trader does with the Tesla. It's like, which one do I want more of in my world? Which one do I want more of running my area? Which one is worse? Like, the more we lean into the stock trader, Tesla, clean cut, living in the city, the more we move towards perfect AI ran 15-minute cities. Am I going to have any chance in that world? Meanwhile, you have the Mad Max. It's like, yeah, you're probably going to die, but at least you go out swinging type of life. Or maybe that's more appropriate to say like the Walking Dead version.
Yeah. But, I mean, I really don't want that version to happen, but I mean, dude, I don't want any part of this system.
Yeah,
I think this system, whether it be schools, the economy, really gotten down to societal norms that are the societal norms of modern day, lack complete common decency, and are just so self-absorbed. There's such a selfish element to the societal norms these days that I don't really want any part of it. Like you said before, is I have the opinion that it all needs to burn away, and we just start anew. And there's going to be a lot of turmoil that would come with that. But I think that if it went to Mad Max, like steampunk type of existence or whatever, yeah, that'd be horrible. But I honestly think it's the less bad of the alternative of like the utopia, where everyone's, the tech and everything's so clean,
the island
so
type
scheduled. That would, and we're trapped in that kind of world or reality. I think that the Mad Max one at least is a chance to like maybe start up a new system from scratch that could wind up being.
Well, here's the interesting thing is like I've thought about this several times because there is a special aspect to certain people as opposed to like the masses. And I'm not saying the masses can't have a special aspect. It's just that it's like hindered or something, it's hidden or it's being masked.
Yeah.
But like what I consider my kind of special aspect is that, I realized enough to where I want a holistic understanding of the world to be passed on to my kids so that they see things for like the ground level before they ever look at it of the grandiose thing that they didn't create. They see the things that they can create before they see the things that have been created for them. That's kind of like I guess it's a little vague in order to put it, but just like being more down to earth and seeing things for how they are rather than just being how you're told they are. And I kind of understood that if I were to just go along to get along like everybody else, which I'm not trying to hate on everybody else. I'm not saying they're NPCs. It obviously doesn't have a good connotation, but at the same time, I'm not trying to say these people are all beyond reproach and they're gone. They're just dead weight. Unfortunately, there are going to be those kinds of people, but I'm saying like en masse, if I do think that the chance is there for a lot of people to wake up. I don't really see why it's so hard either, but I mean, I guess I do see why it's hard. It's just the choice. To me, the choice is very clear. Whereas, everybody has their own, reasons why they stay, where they're at. But I just realized that like my special part in this world was to figure something out, figure enough out that to provide the basis for my kids to carry on further than I could, or, right the ship more than I could in their life. Like in my life, I grew up in the system. I grew up with a mom that, single mom, barely knew my dad. He's off doing drugs. Funny enough, that's what we're talking about. I'm sure he's had his fair share of the Fenny, but I was just bouncing off of stuff, and I was just figuring out my own way. And looking back, I appreciate that. But like we were just talking about, I think on paper I should be on the streets as a drug addict, or at least I would have tried it. There's not a lot of, I don't think there's I think the chances and likelihood, and I'm not saying I'm special for not, I'm saying that this system is everywhere. The chances that a kid like me, I'm not saying I'm special, I'm saying there's hundreds and thousands of kids like me that if they are with those systems in place, they would come up and they would give it a shot. And that's all, boom, they new customer for life type. But, just the fact that I avoided it, that part kind of makes, in my opinion, me see the special part in this world that I play. Not saying I'm so special, but, and then, yeah, like I said, just being, a beacon for my kids, or at least trying to be. It's not like I'm definitely not like I'm perfect. But I have plenty of flaws. It's just that, as far as, setting myself apart from, I guess, the average, and I'm not trying to make the average seem like a bad place to be. It could be good. If the world was good, the average would be good too. You know what I mean? It's just, that's not where we're at. The world is so bad that the average is so bad. It's like, where does terrible start? It's like pedophile. It's like, that's where it starts. Like, right. Terrible should start at the people not like helping out their neighbor, or selfishness. But no, terrible starts at like the irredeemable. Yeah. That's not good. Like, where does good even fit in? Like, good is considered just like doing enough for yourself. Like that, like it's almost like selfishness is where the good starts too. It's like it's where the bad should start is actually where the good starts. It's like being certain levels of selfish is actually. Nana, go back to your room. She's and
you have a good night.
You see the technology. Like, ooh, the camera's on. But
well, you're making the point about how it would make sense for. Good God, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, her foot was just drawn across that blanket. That scared the hell out of me. So you were talking about like growing up and it's kind of in a single house type of situation, and your dad was doing drugs, and so like it would make sense that if you would have gone down that path. And like totally, yeah, it does make sense. But I think that especially like the propaganda when it comes to substance abuse and stuff like that, I think it was laid on, or at least from my experience of my age at being just sub 40, is that it was painted in a certain light, and it was seen as like more common to happen in a house with certain challenges, whether it be single parent home or socioeconomical and all these kinds of things, and totally makes sense, and it totally does. But like my family, we weren't rich at all by any means, but we just had a 1-story house. It wasn't like a double. I didn't have an upstairs. It was like not a big house. We weren't rich, but and my parents wound up getting divorced when I was like 16. So for like my younger years, and up till I was 16, they were together, and I have 2 supportive parents, still do today. And they're still super supportive. Like the support from my family, like that, I'm forever grateful and feel so undeserving of, really, truly. And so I have, when it comes to those kinds of boxes to check, whether, parent house, supportive family, like I said, we weren't rich, but we weren't like necessarily like very poor either. So economics wasn't a reason. I'm one of the people that should never, from what they say, the propaganda as far as substance abuse goes, I have no reason and no excuse to have ever gone down that road. And yet here I am, and I definitely went down that road. And it is not good. Luckily, I'm still here today. And luckily, I've turned my life around as far as when it comes to substances. And I have no desire for anything like that, But I'm one of those people that shouldn't have had any excuse to ever, get into that realm. Yet there's so many people who come up and like both parents in the house, rich families, suburban white boys too, that wind up getting super into the drug life, you know what I'm saying? And wind up, doing a lot of damage, but and I think the real difference is it can hit anybody, no matter the socioeconomical parentals in the house. It can hit anybody. I think that the unfortunate part is a lot of the maybe like suburban white boys, or however you want to see it, from upper middle class to rich, they are loved to death, is how I like to put it. I had such loving and supportive parents and family for like going through all my struggles when it came to the substances and stuff like that. And there was times where I really got an understanding of that phrase, that where I love you to death. And I got a true meaning of loving someone to death. I could see it, how my mom loves me so much, that I was being robbed of hitting my rock bottom on certain things. And I could see how she loves me so much, where she's trying to save me from certain bad or unpleasant experiences. My own choices got me to where this was, but literally almost died, from my choices, but also what aided it and kind of fueled my ability to bring myself to make those choices that could have been terminal, you know what I'm saying? And it was because I had such a support that I was loved to almost death,
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was going to bring this up, but yeah, you ended up doing it anyway. So great stuff there. But yeah, I was going to say that each bracket of society is accounted for. Like you were just saying, yeah, it's not always just the scamps of society. That's my new favorite word, by the way. I call my daughter a little scamp all the time. But it's not always those of society that, like you said, the propaganda will show those people as high risk. But you think they're letting off the affluent people off easy? Hell no. Now I will say the difference is there's an echelon of character that they recruit from. They want a pool of a certain character to recruit from. So at any given time in this country, they do want a large enough pool of high character, affluent people. I'm not saying that they, you know, if they're going to be doing drugs, I'm sure like the high society ones are the ones that, you know, the Adderalls, the Cokes, the, you know, those kind of drugs are sure like less frowned upon. But like, you know, think about the secret society types, you know, just the fraternal and sorority types. They want a large pool of those kids, and those kids have a protected life, a more so of a protected life. I'm not saying they can't go wrong, but they want a pool to draw from. It's not saying they're all in on it. I'm just saying, like, at any given time, there's some that are held up and made sure so that there's at least a well to be drawn from. It's not supposed to be super large. They don't want the whole society to be people like that, or else, you know, the power distribution would be too large. But they do give the power to some certain people and those affluent families and things of that nature to uphold and have a pool to draw from. And if you think I'm joking about it, look at all the top positions in government. They come from fraternities and sororities at these prestigious institutions, colleges, and things of that nature. There's a reason that it always ends up like that. It's not like that person is just so much better than the scamp, let's call it, or the person that didn't, you know, get ushered through their college experience, you know, through all, you know, the different. I didn't go to a 4-year type of college, so I don't. All the different terminology is a little. I'm lost on that, but I understand that, you know, you can have your teachers usher you through. Basically, just, you know, teachers will play favorites. There's a lot of politics in school. It's not just what you know, is what I'm trying to say. Not the pool is not full of people that know the most. It's about a certain type of person. And think about it. Do you want people in that pool that are avant-garde and they're going to go against the status quo? No. That's why, you know, and just look at what hazing's all about. Look at sororities and for fraternities, and then go look at secret societies. There's a hazing process to establish a character, an archetypal character that you are to play. And if you do not play, you're not allowed. You're going to be excommunicated or whatever. And why you do it is because the ends justify the means. You'll sit there and you'll get poked by all your homies while you're naked, you know, doing weird shit, because at the end of the day, those people are going to have your back in your business, and your business is going to thrive. If you're running a electronics business, you know, you're going to have a one up in the circuit board industry because you got Tony over there who runs Silicon Industry, and his pal runs the mine. You know, they network. This is how it works. Now this is what I always say too, is like ripping off a page of their book. It's like, we need to learn to network. This is like one of the biggest things. Is it can be a local thing. Like I've wanted to work with my like neighborhood, because like, dude, I am inundated with fruit on my property. I just inherited it. Like whoever owned the property before planted a bunch of trees. They didn't really take good care of them. It's on us to start. We've had a couple of bad harvests, or about a half of a bad harvest, but a lot of our trees are very well producing and good fruit. A couple of them need a lot of help because we haven't done anything with them yet. They need new soil and certain things like that. Anyway, point being is for the second year now, I'm going to have hundreds of pounds of plums go to just fall and go to waste. No one's eating
plums, dude. They're so good.
And so it's like, I'd love to have some sort of like farmers market set up where anything left goes to the food bank at the end of the day type of thing. But like the farmers market be to like have the neighborhood kids come and run the stalls and learn trading and marketing and you know, have trade value in our you know, potentially, you know, a box of fruit for I don't know. You get the point. My point is just like,
I think that's
establishing, just establishing worth from what we have, you know, at and like I said, and nowadays people that is like what they have is like a liquid asset that's like money or their business or an actual electronic or clothing, so a thing rather than like a renewable anyway, I get too long-winded.
That's so cool.
Beat that to death.
You get to that property. There's all, and the problem that you are presented with is I got all these plums, and because just you have all these plums, like like you were talking about a local farmers market or whatever. How you were talking about like maybe kids from the community to get in there so they can start learning skills, whether social skills and skills of ways to handle like while you're conducting business, and like you were talking about marketing and the fun things as far as like having the kids like maybe design a logo for the plums that you're hawking off at the farmers market and stuff, coming up with a slogan or a picture or whatever. Like there's so much that could come out of the fact that you've got a surplus of plums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just talking about the plums too. We got like 5 apple trees, 2 cherry trees. Right. Anyway, and give it up to my girl. She's been doing a lot of canning and learning that process. This is her 2nd year. And we've already got a ton. And she also tends a huge garden that she's made. I made her some pretty big garden boxes, but otherwise she's taken like a dilapidated garden space in our field and turn that into a pretty thriving garden. I mean, I'm looking over at my counter and it's just completely filled with zucchinis and cucumbers, and also we have a fucking fig tree that is just absolutely burst into the seams where we get so many figs too. But anyway, we have a veritable market in at any given time, and so she's working on preserving it because we can't eat it all at once. And so that, that's one aspect of why we do it anyway. Like when you're making food for yourselves, you overdo it because you're preserving it. We're not making it for that day kind of thing. It wouldn't work that way without.
So she's good at canning and preserving.
She's learning and stuff like that. Yeah,
dude, that is so important. I've been thinking about this, like, a lot recently, is how important of a skill and a knowledge base to have is how to can and how to preserve food. I think that is where, with whatever happens, say that, like, the shoe drops, the economy or this or that or whatever, and there's winds up being scarcity when it comes to food or in all the resources or whatever. If we hit that Mad Max type of level or thing, or on the road to it, whenever I was a kid, my grandparents, my great grandparents, like all these people that are that age, they pretty much all my great grandmothers and grandmas, they knew how to can. They knew how to can food. They knew how to preserve food, knew how long it would be good for and how to do it. Like, dude, not many people know how to do that in today's world. So if there is a scarcity issue as far as like, food goes, or the stores not being able to get the food for whatever reasons, multiple reasons, I mean, dude, people don't even know how to preserve their food. A lot of people don't even have the skill. It's not even about getting the resources. It would be about acquiring the knowledge of how to do it first, or even the knowledge or the thought that they need to learn how to do it. It's going to be too late for a majority,
Yeah. You're not going to unlock understanding of canning out of nowhere. If those skills leave the sphere of conscious, you're not just going to remember. It's not just going to come up one day. Oh, you know what? Oh, hell, why don't we just conglomerating languages?
The grid's down. You can't just YouTube DIY canning peaches. You can't do that when the grid's down. It's a little too late. Not
to mention, like, they've gotten so far ahead of, like, with fear. They've used fear to their advantage of, like, why you should rely on government standards and procedures and when it comes to like homesteading and stuff like that. By the way, homesteading it's so annoying that they just co-opt every single thing. But like when I hear homesteading, I get annoyed because the faces of homesteading, I know controlled opposition. They will appear as a certain way, and they're just there to hyper cartoonify everything. They're there to like hyper cartoonify the process of everything to either make it ridiculous to the average person or unfeasible or laughable in some way. And these people get out ahead of it. And what's so funny is it doesn't need to be done that way. It really is. These are things that always were passed down. I'm talking 1920s to 40s. Like they got lost after probably, women in the workforce. I'm pretty sure that was one of the key elements of getting the women, the girls that were trained by their nanas and moms to do certain things when they were coming up. Those people, they got brainwashed into not wanting their kid to have to go through. They got sold the idea that it was, now there's a level of comfort that comes with just growing up. You don't have to worry about those things that I had to worry about. This is my gift to you, is not having to go through what I went through, not realizing that the gift was what you went through. That was the gift. Knowing all those things was the gift. And you letting it die with yourself is the curse. That is, you just cursed your kid and their kids and us, all of us. And I'm not sitting here saying all the women. Men used to know how to install their own wells, septic systems used to be dug out and installed by men in the neighborhood. Either every dad or homeowner. I'll say homeowner because the men were the homeowners. I'm not sitting here saying right or wrong. That's just how it worked. They installed the septic systems, right? For better or worse. But as far as standardizing a process, there was a standardized process before the government ever got involved in putting sewage down your block in the rural areas you lived in. That was on you. And people did it, obviously you hear about outhouses and stuff like that, but, installing a septic system was a very common thing, as well as digging a well. It's like your farm, your homestead, your area you live in doesn't function without water. This government's not coming by and installing hydrants down your block. You tap your own springs and stuff like that. And we're
in a world today where I think about this because I still handle my yard work. Right now I have a rock bed out front of my house and I'm building a stone wall for the border of it. So actually I'm a mason. Today I did masonry. I got mortar mixed all up and today was mortar day. So I got like half of it, the base row down, mortared in. Hopefully I can finish it up in the next day or two. But doing stuff like that with your hands and like kind of working your land or your property, dude, no one does that anymore. Like you're talking about, like, digging your own well. And there's lots of things that I don't know how to do, by the way. I'm like, I learned how to do, I did a little bit of construction or whatever, but besides like basic yard work, like I mowed my yard growing up and, weed eating and such of the sorts. But I'm not like some know how to do everything. I will learn how to do anything I need to do. But just as far as like, working with your hands or whatever, I'm not coming from some place where my dad taught me how to, do carpentry or something like this. These are things I learned, whether I be working construction or have this project. So I kind of teach myself how to do whatever. But my point being made is you be damned to even find a man mow their own yard anymore. I think I might be one of the only people on my whole neighborhood that mows their own yard, dude. It's unbelievable.
And you get rural enough, everybody does.
So much. I'm a man, and we're dealing with a certain type of mindset, if you can follow me, and they think they're so burly badass. It's like, yeah, you can't even cut your damn yard, bro.
Oh yeah. There's like, levels to toughness. It's kind of the idea of like the guy who grew up on the farm having like an arm wrestling match with like the bodybuilder.
Right.
But and I'm not saying that I've just somehow manlied up.
I got to make a point real quick because I was kind of talking about lawns and yard work and stuff like that. That is an interesting rabbit hole to dive down if you haven't gone down the PSYOP that is lawn care. It's pretty wild.
It goes right hand in hand with landscaping. Landscaping is where landscaping came from. I've actually brought it up to you, but yeah, if you guys look into Capability Brown, you guys got to look into that guy. He's the father of landscaping, and the whole like basis of landscaping. Of course, there's micro and macro. So it's like, the insurance company and the banks, they're landscaping. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, that's the cover up, bro. That's fucking, they're covering it up. They're fucking, but like, as far as large scale, we've talked about golf courses, hospital campuses, these funeral, graveyard, what's the other fucking word for it? Cemeteries and stuff of those nature. Just look at these places. They're on sprawling hills of like odd shapes that, just look into the landscaping aspect. But yeah, what's funny too,
$1 of industry. There's billions of dollars in the industry annually. And before we had smartphones and when tech wasn't as advanced as it is now, this was a way to distract people. This is a way, you work your 9 to 5, as far as we go, the system and the rat race, work your 9 to 5. And then when you get home or have your free time on the weekends, this is another way where they can take up your rest time with a chore, basically with work to keep you tired, to keep you distracted. If you have to go make sure you feel the social pressure to make sure your yard isn't out of shape, and looking too wild or this or that, then you got to make sure you get out there and mow the grass and trim it with the weed eater, all this. Now you're running out of time to gain knowledge and to read some books on maybe information they don't want you knowing about. More people might uncover a couple things under some stones or here or there if they weren't so busy out in the yard doing a project. You know what I mean?
And not to mention what you bring up, like, it was a keeping up with the Joneses mindset that they put people in, but it was the competition, the neighbor competition. It's kind of like the cul-de-sac neighborhood that the moms all get along, but they all hate each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They all have their kids play together, but when their kid comes home, it's just like they crap talk the other kids because of their parents. And meanwhile, the dads are out there mowing their best. Think of King of the Hill. King of the Hill was like a modern version of that, where where the yard maintenance was an art, and him and his neighbors would like compete. But like, depending on who was it, Khan, his Asian neighbors, they would like compete with like the best equipment to mow their yard with and stuff like that. So rather than borrowing sugar and getting along, they all trash talk each other behind each other's back and compete each other in broad daylight with the men, which is very like preying on like instinctual male species type behavior, where the males are flamboyant and out there showing their stuff and fighting and whereas the women are behind there and like choosing and that kind of thing. There's a level of psychology behind it that is like innate to our nature that will immediately kind of cling to, but it's to say that it almost sounds ridiculous, but that is what it is. It's like they're able to use a basis of something like that and apply it to whatever modern fixation there is at that time, and they provide the fixation too, because it's like, I'll take this a step further. No weeds, 0 weeds. Weeds are bad. Weeds are bad. Okay, go look at the medicinal benefits of dandelions, of most common weeds that pop up in any. Which, by the way, They're only weeds because you cemented over the grassland. This was a meadow. This was a valley where these weeds had a life cycle and a part in that cycle for the bees. Where are all the bees? Where are your weeds? There's no weeds. There's no bees. So that's why there's no flowers. And all your flowers are fake and not natural to the area. So the bees don't want them. So the bees are moved somewhere else, or they're dead, and so it's like you're disrupting nature as well. It's like systemically sterilizing your land. And that's what I just said, is you are doing it. You're being nudged to do it, but you're doing it. So you're part of it, and you're now culpable in the whole plot. And these plot, it's like if someone's going to boil down and try to quote me on something and say, oh, I remember when you said lawn care was the Jesuits' plot. It's just like, no, but yes. It's like,
it is a psyop. It's one that I do enjoy. I do enjoy some more.
Hey,
I like
hop on a John Deere. Hop on a John Deere. But man, my field is super bumpy, so it's not as enjoyable as it could be. Yeah. But when I'm taking those turns and stuff, I'm like a high speed mower. It's like I'm out there. I'm channeling Chad Little on my John Deere out there.
Yeah, they got those settings on the side of the John Deere. They got like it's like slow as a turtle and rabbit ready to fuck.
That's exactly what's on mine too. They'll never change it because men are simple. We don't ever need the fighter jet or the slug.
This is where it becomes like it's almost it's unavoidable being a human being, and living a human's life. Or at least in the society that we do and the systems that we do, is that you're almost inevitably going to be a hypocrite so often in your lifespan. And this is one when it comes to lawn care, because like I'm over here saying that it's a psyop, while I definitely participate in it.
And I totally agree with you. When I'm mowing is like my field. There are plenty of places on my property. We are completely letting our tree line grow wild. It is gorgeous in there. There's all sorts of different plants. There's plenty of places on our property where we let the weeds come in. My girl, she does a bunch of stuff with dandelions and other naturally occurring weeds, what they're called. We don't really call them weeds, but
they're
all sorts of thistle and all these other things that are commonly referred to. There's only a couple that we're trying to eradicate, and that's because if we ever want to own animals, they're like toxic to the animals, like goats and things like that. Other than that, like another fruit that we have all over the blackberries. Most commonly, people hate blackberries. They hate them. It's just like, well, we have designated areas where they absolutely thrive. I mean, they can thrive anywhere. And then it's like, that's when we have to kind of remove them from strangling other plants. But other than that, they have plenty of room on our property to grow. And we harvest tons of blackberries every year too.
Yeah, I love blackberries, man. But yeah, blackberry bushes and plants, they do not stay in their lane very well.
I do respect them. The ones I had when I got here, I had to remove a bunch of blackberries. And it's crazy. When you're fighting blackberries, it's like you're fighting a sentient thing. I'm not even joking. I'm out there talking to them. And it's like, that's just how I am. I mean, it is what it is. But But yeah, I'm out there and it's like, I swear, there's like a sentience to them. It's like they know how to attack you, but I guess if you know, If I'm crazy, I'm just crazy. But it seems like when you're out there fighting the blackberries, that I don't get all covered up. If they get me, they get me. I give them an opportunity, to get theirs. It's only fair. I'm hacking them out. They might as well be able to scratch me a little bit back. Plus,
that's why I was torn up a couple weeks ago. I was getting all these thorn vines out of these trees. I was just wads of them. I was just ripping them down. Dude, I got tore up. It was from the thorns. And then I'm pretty much good now, but I had freaking poison ivy for like a month.
We don't have any of that out here. We do have it in Washington and Oregon, but we don't have it, luckily, on our property.
I'm highly allergic to poison ivy too, so it was not good.
It's already bad enough for anyone, but then be allergic to it. But I will say this: it wasn't poison ivy; it was poison oak. But I went to a church retreat, a camping retreat at Timothy Lake on Mount Hood, up where in Oregon. Anyway, and we were playing this like hunter versus prey, like hide and seek type game. And my brainlet idea was to like lay down in this like ivy type of field thing where I could just like lay into it like it's liquid and just like cover the ivy on me and I'm gone. Well, I was in there and I was in there for a while. When I came back out, dude, I was beet red, and I did not. It didn't start like itching first. It was just like a hot burn, and then like the itch was tough. It went away really quickly. I can't remember. They gave me like lemon balm oil or something like that. Somebody had something other than like a medicine. Like I said, I wasn't like hyper allergic to it. I was just having a minor reaction to it. But yeah, poison oak, that was not fun. Like it was like a stinging nettle feeling at first. Like I was hot, like my whole anything exposed started getting red and hot, like really hot. Like it felt really, really hot to the touch. And then it started like stinging. And then after that, it was just itchy all night long.
How long did it last? You said it went away
all night. And then like once I woke up from being asleep, it was not as noticeable and things like that. But I said, I got this like lemon
good genes for that, for like poison ivy or poison oak stuff. You could probably put poison ivy and run it on you. You probably
as far as I know, I'm not allergic to anything. The tests I did do when I was a kid for allergies, I never was positive for any allergies.
Poison ivy messes with me pretty bad, and like the only thing else I think I'm allergic to is bullshit. But I provide enough of that myself, so it's all right. You know.
Well, I might be getting cows someday, so I'm hoping I'm not allergic to bullshit. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of my property. There already is a lot, and we don't have the cows yet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, another rousing conversation. Lot discussed, and a lot, left open. I will say this: I did had planned on having King Richard on here. He must have got.
Yeah. Hey, happy 100, dude. Happy 100. Like,
thank you for being part of it.
Right when I got on with you, I meant to say it, but I was scatterbrained from fighting that hornet in here, so I totally forgot. But dude, happy 100. Like UTTV 100th episode. That's pretty bad.
100 Sundays straight from the time we started to this moment right now. 100 Sundays straight. So that's a pretty big deal. And I think, I'm not big on, in fact, I'm anti, what's the word? Like memorializing things or like using things as like a motivation. It's like faux motivation, I'll call it. But there was a little bit of that as far as like never taking a Sunday off. It's not like I ever had anything major to be like, it's not like I ever came on here and did an episode when like my kid was like dying or something crazy. It's not like I kept myself to that high of a standard, but it's not like there weren't Sundays that, I was super tired or had a lot to do or, obviously I also work a almost full-time job on top of the property. So it's not like I haven't had reason to not do a Sunday episode and just be like, okay, sorry guys, we'll be back next Sunday or do it Monday, something like that. But like I said, there was a little bit of that, just like, no, just it's going to be a big deal when, the more Sundays you do in a row, it's almost like my hair. It's just, I just can't keep growing it. It's like growing is like the thing that keeps me growing it. But anyway. So it's not like I hold myself to do that just because, or hold myself to the channel to do that. It just is, kind of happens, but there is a little bit of it, I guess, where.
Well, it should be you should be recognized and it should be acknowledged that 100 episodes, easy. 100 Sundays in a row. It's impressive. It's accomplishment. And I mean, like as long as I've been hopping on here with you, I can't remember what episode I hopped on with. I think it was like 80s or something. But like I can only imagine, you have kids, you have one on the way, about to add another one and a business. So I can only imagine, just for me, even I got 6 dogs and there's always stuff popping up. And so to make it happen consistently every Sunday for 100 in a row, man, that's impressive.
But see, I can't imagine that, like not imagining it either. So it's like, this is it. Like, so I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, it's so hard. And, with everything I'm still able to do. No, it's just another thing I do. And it's not all so crazy. There's crazier weeks than others for sure. But other than that, I don't want to glorify it up or amp it up too much to make it seem like it's tough to do. Which, by the way, for anyone listening now, whatever you got going on, make some time a few Sundays here and there and hop on with us. It's not hard. It's more fun than it looks. If it doesn't look fun, I try to make it look a little bit fun, but I know I have fun. I wouldn't be doing that if there wasn't some sort of enjoyment element. There is a overarching theme to why I do it, and plans for the future as well. But on a week to week basis, I do try to provide some entertainment or some value in what we talk about or what we bring up, opening up a conversation, or maybe something I say rings true to somebody. Either way, it's not like I hold fast on it or need to do that. And I don't need to do that because for me, it's fun to do it as well. So it's like, regardless, I would do it even if I wasn't providing either or. It's like I would do it to provide some sort of value, even if I wasn't having fun. But if I the fun is also there if I'm not providing, the value per se. Anyway.
Well, dude, like I try to only speak from my experience. And and I was watching UTTV from before I came around, with you and Austin, watching every week, and obviously enjoyed every episode. But as far as to the people of the world out there, I can only speak from my experience as far as since I have been coming on here and, sitting down and doing the show with you and having a conversation with you every week is like, I never regret it, and I wind up, you're a great conversation, Logan, and you have so much knowledge. So it's like, I can't remember right now off the top of my head specifically what it was, but I remember after last week's episode, there was like, I can't remember, like I said, specifically, but there was things I was thinking about certain things that you were talking about for like a couple, hard over a couple of days. I can't remember what it is right now, specifically you were talking about, but you're just blowing my mind,
Well, it's too bad that we haven't had a triple threat or a quadruple threat like it could have been potentially tonight. But either way, we'll get Richard on here one of these days. Like I said, Austin's still up in the air, but dude, me, you, and Austin, obviously, I know King Richard would have vibed with you too, but I'm just saying, like, as far as the founders of the channel, if you would have been selected as the third leg of our third leg, the third host, either way, like it would have come about as well. And by me saying that too, it's just like the same. Like Austin would bring up things, and me and Austin would go and find these like crazy rabbit holes that were so fun for us both ways. Like he would bring something up I didn't know about, and by the end of it, it connected to something I knew about that he didn't know about, and that's happened several times. With just with our discussions. So it's a two-way street. I've found out a lot.
Well, I love,
especially with you being in a different part of the country too. Also,
yeah, that's a good point. Well, I love listening to Austin. I love listening to him as far as like his perspective goes, especially too. And like he was just on Zach's channel like last week or a week before, whatever it was, what I saw whenever he called in. And I love listening to Austin's perspective. Like he can just he just flows and he just goes, and just like whenever Austin goes into one of those flow states and he's just like really on perspective. And if I remember correctly, like he was kind of talking about, just kind of reality or the state of things, kind of how they are currently, and perspective paired with that. And I just thought it was a good flow at like what he was listening to. I was, when he got done, the last time I heard him speak was on Zach's channel. And I just remember whenever he kind of wrapped up what he was saying, because he was flowing there for a bit, and like, I just couldn't help but just nod. It was just like
he's ahead of his time, and he's really he's a really good dude too. It's like I've had the pleasure of being able to actually hang out with him in person multiple times, and one of those times being him just opening his schedule up to help me move to the current place I live in, which would have been extremely difficult by myself, because I moved not only all of our stuff and including my two kids and my girls and my stuff, but also her mom. I moved her house over too. So without his help, that would have been, I mean, he dropped everything to come and help me. And, we hung out on his birthday as well. I would have loved to hang out with him more recently as well, but that one fell through. And now, things are up in the air with him. But,
one thing,
Austin, really good dude on top of it. One thing that really pissed me off, though, I'll say,
one thing he couldn't do is if he is you can tell he could not hide it that he's a good dude. You can just tell Austin's a legit good dude.
One thing that I shouldn't say it pissed me off. It didn't piss me off because it was just so ridiculous. But while Austin was talking, like you're mentioning 2 weeks ago in Zach's chat, some loser who was just hyper posting in the chat, which he was just having conversations with people. But just one of the most random things he just randomly said was like, this dude's an agent. Well, Austin, I'm like, he's an agent? I've hung out with him for almost 90 Sundays straight. I met him in person like multiple times. We hung out on his birthday. I've gone to the bounce house with, the trampoline park with him. He helped me move my entire like 2 houses for nothing. I did shoot him some money, but like he didn't do it because of the money. And this guy's just calling. It's like, what is this? What we're doing now? Is this it's like, are you like, this is something an agent would do, was to hop in and call a genuine person an agent in the chat of like, it's like one thing to go do that on Kai Cenat's stream or something like that, where it's like just a bunch of fucking people, but this is like a place where people should be meeting up for discussions and understanding and things like that. And now we're just calling people agents. It's like one thing if Zach had like a panel where he's welcoming dissent or something like that. But this guy, all I heard Austin talk about was the agendas being pushed on us with, the weather warfare and because the focus was on the fires in Washington and things of that nature. By the way, Austin lives in Washington. Zach lives in Washington. It's perfect people to talk about this. Also, when we met up, Austin had just moved from Wyoming, which just had their like greatest fire, which was on the back of Oregon's greatest fire that we had recently just had. Well, I shouldn't say greatest. It was like the second greatest, but during COVID, the entire state of Oregon, or I shouldn't say the entire state of Oregon, but at least where I live, Portland, was just engulfed in smoke for like a week straight, where it was just, you couldn't see 30 feet in front of you. Just for a week straight, you were just breathing absolute ass not to mention record heat. It was like 115 degrees or something like that shit in Portland. Really? On top of, dude, it was like record high. I remember we had like, we weren't, and get this, the apartment we lived in didn't allow window air conditioners. So they were also but what we did is like on our balcony, we just cracked open the door and put the air conditioner on the ground and like covered it up with blankets. And dude, those like tunnels you get for kids? They're like the little spring loaded tunnels and you can build your own little tunnels things. We had that like in front of the air conditioner to like funnel the air into the like middle of the living room and stuff like that.
Pretty well, didn't it? As far as
it worked great. Yeah, the window units are always the best air conditioners, so of course it worked.
When you think about those ducts that are like up in the ceiling, there's pretty much those tunnels for the kids. Or hey, they got them for the dogs too. I got dogs.
Like the tunnels
for the dogs. All right, but no, essentially that is almost just like a duct, So.
But yeah, we kind of, in fact, on the video of Zach's trip to Portland, where the first time I ever met Zach and went out and pounded pavement with him in Portland, Austin came down from where he lived in Washington. And the first 20 minutes of the video is actually me, Zach, and Austin all talking about the agendas with weather warfare and fires during COVID. That was like the opening of that video. And so we all kind of bonded over our similar experiences during that. Obviously me and Zach had similar experiences because he currently lived in Washington while that was going on and I lived in Oregon. But even when during that time, Austin was living in Wyoming, and Wyoming had its own humongous fire with smoke filling the skies for a long time. I don't think it was a week. Oregon's was like a freaking week long. It was literally a hellscape. It was hellscape. The kids still had to go to, everything was just as normal, as is basically. But they were also still telling you to wear 5 masks, and it was crazy.
Yeah, but it's like 115 with smoke everywhere, and just put it. If it's not hard enough to breathe, put a mask on. Whenever Zach went out to New York, the Pound Pavement in New York, he was initially his plans were on the way back after he got done with New York, he was going to head down to Atlanta potentially, and if he was going down to Atlanta, dude. I was so excited. I was going to show up in Atlanta, man. I was like, it's my wheelhouse. I was so pumped. But then, the flat tire, manhole cover, had to get a new tire, that everything that happened to him, all the nonsense that wanted to come in from him making that trip, which obviously you really want to get in the chat.
Talk about agents.
Yeah. All the agents that mess with Zach during and after his New York Pounding Pavement.
Well, here's the thing too. It's like when we met up in Portland, me and Austin were the only ones that joined up with Zach. We were the only ones that showed up. There's a few other people that showed up. Like I remember this black guy and his family showed up, and I ended up talking to him for like 10 minutes, and he was really cool, and he was a supporter. He was there with his family to like stand there and in support, which was great. But like as far as people like joining in to help the cause or like do anything, like I remember there was no cards to pass out, so I had like found paper and like wrote like Gematria Effect News or it was Gematria Effect News 25 or 24, it might have been.
Right.
And where to find him. I just wrote a bunch of and folded them up and ripped them up the best I could to hand to people and things of that nature. But my point being, there was obvious agents. Like it was crazy. There was these kids that were like riding the e-bikes and just like doing whatever they could to cause like chaos around us. And then there was this like black lady who was like I'll say pretending to be drunk, because I swear there was no alcohol smell on her. I'm telling you, she was like trying to make the work look like shit. She was standing in front of the camera and like she like pretended to faint, and not also like the threat of a nip slip because she was wearing like a halter top and she was like a bigger, thicker lady, and like all her crazy movements and everything. And then she like fainted, and I was like, do you want some water or something? But she had this like vodka that she was keeping in her like cleavage, and like that was a problem. It just kept like moving around, but like I don't think it was vodka because like there was this other kid who kept trying to like get the vodka from her or like get her to share it, and like he just kept bumming cigarettes from her, and she was just like being so overtly crazy. Like it didn't seem drunk, but she was acting drunk. That's what it looked like. She was like what someone would do to act drunk. She wasn't like, I don't think she was actually drunk, but like there was several different groups that came. Well, it could have been something else. True. Yeah. I'm just saying as far as, well, she was feigning drunk though. She was pretending to like drink off vodka and stuff like that. And she was talking about how she was so blood, but she came up and, what's all this gematria about? What's all this? Oh, you know what? That I think I know what that is. That's like when it's just going crazy, just yelling. And the whole point, it was an open forum. Did we get anybody that came up with a good, any like actual, goodwill, good faith discussions? No. The first person that walked up like he was honed in on where we were going to be, we barely set up the boom mic or anything like that. This guy comes out of nowhere. Actually, the first president, it actually wasn't George Washington. Actually, the first president wasn't George Washington. It's like, okay, what about the Jesuit order or anything we're talking about? No. The first president was actually recognized this blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, ask 100 people. How many people are going to say George Washington is the first president? It's about the system that's being put in place, the narrative-driven system that's being put in place. Yes, I am aware. Zach is well aware of the previous gentlemen that had been considered the leaders of the free world before George Washington was inaugurated as the first president, which, just the whole process of inauguration down to the terminology has its ties rooted with the Jesuits. Not to mention, look at modern day inaugurations, how they all face the big penis while they, are sworn in overlooking the Washington Monument and all those things. Anyway, but he just comes up and he's just a big a loser. He was just a loser. But it's just like, what is the motivation for someone like this to come out of nowhere, just frame one as we open up, and we're just like, he's just barely talking on the mic so far. You barely even know what he's talking about yet, or what he's trying to even advocate or not advocate for, and you're just already out here just dissenting. And it was like there were so many people like that, whereas we had almost nobody come up to try to, in any kind of support or just wondering what was going on or anything. People yelling across the street. Really, unfortunately, is like Zach is very generous and has a big heart. There was a homeless veteran. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, even though I don't like it. Who sat there, and he would actually talk to us for quite a while. He sat there and talked to us for quite a while. But eventually, Austin took the mic, and Zach went over and talked to him. And the guy said he was like really hungry, and so we ended up going there and buying him like 5 different meals for like him and like his homeless pals or whatever. But we had this one disruptor, dissenter guy who was like acting like he was on fentanyl, no shirt, going crazy, yelling crazy from across the street, acting like he was the center of attention the entire time, getting into the street, crossing into the street, acting like making a scene and a problem to where, if the police were to come by, they'd say, can you just move? We can't have these disruptions kind of thing. It's just the natural progression. That's what they're aiming to do, is to shut you down. It's a public forum, but they can say, yeah, but, you're causing a problem. In what you're doing, the business doesn't want you here, this and that, and the third, they'll find ways of just a polite person will just up and move, and they can just keep people moving and never let the message, stand. So that I can see that they were going for that. But yeah, this guy was like crazy, and he was just cussing at us. And then at one point, the black lady took the mic, and him and the shirtless fentanyl guy, they got together and they were like arguing with each other. And then at one point she was like grinding on him. It was this disgusting. See, I'm not joking. This was all on camera. So if you watched that video that day, you didn't know what heads up and down, heads or toes, what the hell the message was. And that's what they were doing out there. We got to see it live. Me and my son got to see it absolutely live. These agents come out of the woodwork. There was this one kid who was like coming out of the department store, and he kept going back in there for like free drinks. There's no place in there that you can just get free drinks, but he'd always keep talking to the security guard out front, the like bouncer security guard. He would like go over there and meet with him and then come out with a free drink and like come and back up with us. And at first he sounded like, I could go into this for another hour. So let's not do that.
Dude, it sounds like there was agents swarming.
Exactly.
Every single person you've talked about. I mean, dude, yeah, they had an ulterior motive. It sounds like.
And what I was saying was unfortunate is that Zach, his big heart, he ends up paying for that guy, that veteran meal. And at the very end of it, we're all packing up, and that veteran guy starts walking off with his cart, and shirtless fentanyl guy goes and meets up with him, and they're all buddy. So I'm just like, golly. This was honestly sickening. And shout out to Austin too, because he didn't waver either. He got on there and he was spitting. I unfortunately did not take the mic. I thought about it because I think I had enough to say about a certain topic. I was a little gun shy, a little camera shy. Not camera shy, really. I was on the camera plenty, but as far as taking the mic, I didn't want to, in my defense, I didn't want to make the work look bad. Had I known how that day would have ended up, I should have taken the mic just so there was more regular people on the mic in that time. But anyway, just
you should have taken the mic, dude. Like you obviously 100 episodes into UTTV, you are obviously, and it's different. It's different out on the road, out on the street.
Yeah, but I can yap though. I could have pulled some shit out of my.
You're great at speaking. You're wonderful at speaking, and you're super knowledgeable, and you put it together and present it very well. So, it definitely would have been an improvement if you would have snatched it out of vodka tits over there. You know what I mean?
Well, truthfully, I think one of the endearing parts of the channel is the scatterbrain element to it, because that has led to like a lot of different cool findings rather than just staying on one topic. As much as I do like the structured topics, I've talked about this multiple times. Guys, try to give us a structured topic. I will try to link up with Shaman during in the off time in the week, and we'll. I like putting together the little Google slides. It doesn't have to be some massive presentation, but I do like doing a structured topic. And you start with a structured topic, and it does lead other places. That's all fine and good, but I do still like doing the structured topic. So anything that you guys have that of substance, it can't just be like an anecdote or like one little small thing. I have to be able to, research and look into certain things. But if you guys have something, always, leave your suggestions, especially of those type, and we can do, faux structured episodes. We started this channel, me and Austin, on structured episodes. We did structured episodes for the first like 20 weeks. There was always a presentation, and then we would bounce off of it, and then certain things move along, and before you know it, we were just like free balling, just going with the flow,
free balling fresh, bro.
But yeah,
one idea, like as far as like people throwing in the comments or different things to think about, but one thing I've heard come up, you speak on it fairly frequently, but I've also heard a couple people, Austin was talking about it on Zach's channel when he called in, but I've heard a couple people, another dude recently talking about wanting to get out there and pound pavement or different ways to get this knowledge out there. And I can't remember, it was like whoever it was saying something about wanting to get, I think they were talking about wanting to get a meetup of gematria.
This was the caller like right after Austin, correct?
Right. I think, yes. Yeah. It was like a caller or two after Austin, because that guy referenced what Austin was talking about, I think. And he was saying something really focusing on a meetup. And it's not necessarily a meetup, but it something about between Austin and that guy's kind of talking, it got me thinking on that mind track. And so like I live in a small town, and they have in the fall, they have these, it's like an arts and crafts fair, not fair, that's not the right word, like a little arts and crafts booths that they set up in our little town square. Like there's this little small square right in the middle of town, and people put their booths up, and it's a lot of people that make handmade this or handmade that, just little kind of artsy stuff, country, a lot of it's country decor stuff. My mom in the past used to make stuff, and she had a booth at that thing for a while. But I was thinking about how whenever Austin and that guy were talking on Zach's stream about how to get the message out, and it made me kind of think about that little town arts and crafts little event that they have every Friday night. Can't remember what they call it, but it's on Friday nights in the fall. They have it for a few months. And I was thinking about how, like, I wonder, since it's not a craft or something like that, but I wonder if I got, multiple copies, like 20 copies of both of Zach's books, Number Games and Letters and Numbers, and like had like 20 copies of each book or whatever. And like when they have that arts little craft festival thing, because you have to rent a booth, you have to call the people of the county or whoever, or the town to get your spot, and you get assigned a certain little booth that you can set up at on Fridays. At this time you can start setting up, and it goes in the evening. But dude, I think that would be a decent idea, as long as they would allow it, having like 20 copies of Zach's books that I could, hand out, and basically have a gematria booth. And people, because they walk by, you'd have foot traffic walking by, and they walk by and stop and it'd just be an easy environment for people to maybe, people are already open-minded as far as they're walking through the different booths to seeing, oh, that's little woodwork, that's cute. Oh, look at this lady, she's got these little vases or whatever. So people are already kind of in that open-minded, ooh, what's in this booth, what's in that booth, and then they happen along the gematria booth and like, oh, what's gematria? What's going on? And then you just go in and start showing them, if I had like certain like solid examples that he has in both those books, highlighted out. and you can just spark up conversations about gematria and kind of exposing the real evil that is in this society, in this world, at a little crafts festival thing, you know?
You'd even have it be like a raffle. So like people walk by, it would be a little fun thing. Or maybe if Zach ever gets his kids books out, you could have copies of the kids books as well as, number games or something like that, to where like, you have a bowl full of tickets and like ticket 201, 84 and 69 and stuff like, and 38, and those will be the hits. And if you pull that number, you can pick between, if you let the kids do a little raffle, if they get it, they can have the kids book or something like that. That'd be very interesting. Yeah, but cool. Let me know how that works out for you. As far as me and Austin talked about several times, and it sounds like Zach is on his way out to do something. I think he's planning on Seattle. It could be the home opener for the Seahawks. Like, could be what he was talking about. Unfortunately, that's right around the due date for my child. So, of course, I've been anticipating and waiting for the next time. And you shouldn't. And I'm wrong for this. And like, that's one of that's one of the faults of the community, is that we're always waiting on somebody else to do something. Not to say, I won't take too much away from me, because, I have done 100 episodes straight since I pounded pavement with them last. But at the same time, as far as like physically, I haven't, done my due diligence at all. As far as the pounding pavement thing. And I've been anticipating the next time he goes out to pound pavement, and what do you know? I don't think it'd be wise of me to be out of city limits.
No, dude, you want to be there for that, man.
There's certain important things, but I won't say that it's not important. It's definitely an important cause, but I think my little homie is going to want to see me when he pops out.
I mean, soon though, right? I mean, you're getting excited, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's coming, whether
Look at you checking all the boxes. 100 episodes in a row. Boom. Another kid. Boom. There you go.
Hey, got early and often. My first kid was at 19. So. But like you said, like you mentioned, there's still, or like we both mentioned, please, get a hold of us, and if you guys want to hop on the discussion, we can have a panel type discussion on the back of what you kind of just said. You're talking about like the town hall, like the town square and everything. Like, I'd love for this to be a town square once a month, and have as many people as possible hop in here. And we have a panel once a month. My initial idea was to have enough channels involved to where different hosts could host it every time. I reached out to Amy, Crack Their Code. I reached out to Daria, Gematria Nerd. I've reached out to King Richard, who's said he's willing to do it 100%. It's just, we need the village at this point, in order to get this kind of going, or at least representation of the village. At this point, we have 3 people. So that's, it's just going to be me and King Richard hosting every other week. So it's like, that's not any different than this. So, but as far as like, a panel, we'd love to have it end up that way. And it could be mutually beneficial. Like, I don't want all the traffic on one. That's not how it should be. And it's not about getting monetized and making money out of it for me personally. But I mean, as far as recognition and spread of the work, and I say the work, and whether or not obviously when King Richard comes on, we're going to be talking about the work, because he's about that work. He does, shout out to his
King Richard, king of the deep decode. That dude's decodes got layers, more layers than an onion.
Yeah, shout out to his website too. I had it pulled up here. I was going to go look at some of his recent posts and everything like that, but we obviously got sidetracked, and he unfortunately wasn't able to make it. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, I always have it in the description, but his website's a banger. If you're ever behind on some of the happenings, or you can't catch a Zach live or King Richard Live, which he does, go live often. He's had multiple different channels, so I got to make sure I'm up to date on his current one. But yeah, as far as that, yeah, double check his website. He might have covered it there, and it's easy to go through and look at. And yeah, he's very persistent, and I guess persistent has kind of a negative connotation to it, but he's very
he's got a thorough
astute.
Decode. That's for sure. Thorough decode skills.
And he's always a blast when he comes on here. So obviously, having like a forum, a weekly or a monthly forum would be a huge thing, to where just like once a month, and like a different channel could host it every month, and that way, kind of, regardless, everybody's going to share the channel that's hosting it in their bio when we do it. So they'll naturally gain subscribers or followers or attention to the channels, and because not every channel is going to be talking about the same thing. I don't talk the same thing or the same way as King Richard does. King Richard doesn't talk the same way or do the same exact thing as Zach does. Zach, so on and so forth. I'd love for Zach to get involved too. Not say he needs to get involved with more. I'm just saying, like, I would love that personally. I would love for Zach someday to show up on the channel and be a part of a forum type thing. As far as him just coming on and hanging out and talking with us, I think it's more beneficial potentially to just go onto his stream and add to his stream, with him being the progenitor of all of this. And and so the times I have gone on to a stream and shared, that it's for that reason. But if he were to come on to our channel, I would want it to be of note. I would want like a panel or something that's going to have like a large scale discussion that that can provide a basis for further goings-ons, or
you're talking about like an episode that has like a specific topic, like you were saying, instead of
it'd be nice, yeah,
type of go with flowing with it, which both are good. I don't check my email often, but I do check my email periodically throughout the week to look just if you have sent me something or this or that.
That's good to know.
As it is. So if you have an idea, or you come up throughout the week, and you have an idea of like, oh, hey, I was kind of wanting to touch on this topic, send me an email about it, man. Because the only reason I check my email is to see if like there's an email from you. Other than all the other emails that come in, I don't give a shit about it.
All right, that's good to know.
When it comes down, the only reason I check my email is for potential UTTV stuff. Like if you're hollering at me about, hey, this, or we need to do this, like literally that's why I check my email. Other than that, I don't check it.
I do think the next step in this is, like, logistically, I do believe I am going to make a Discord here soon. So I do plan on making a Discord, because that is another potential avenue to where, like, throughout the week there can be discussions going on, and it might build into a theme or a show theme for that upcoming Sunday, or it might get people out of their shells a little easier before they just jump on a channel. I understand that there's some apprehensions, just if I see a group of people when I'm walking down the street, or just two people talking, I'm apprehensive to just be, hey man, so yeah, no, I heard what you were saying. Yeah, this is great. I like this. You don't really do that. So I understand that there's like social things, but it's another thing if those two people on the street are like, please come here and talk to us. That's what we're doing. So there is a difference, guys. But yeah, it'd be nice to soften it up with like a Discord or something. I'm not a huge fan of Discord. I've had mine hacked before. I used to do like, I used to stream games and stuff on Twitch, and I had my Discord hacked. I had my server for my game hacked, and that just pissed me off so bad because I was a tiny channel. It's so annoying. I don't want to there's too many anecdotes this episode. We're ending it. And I'll let you finish us off, and then we'll hop out of here. We'll put a cap on 100.
Yeah. Oh, me? Oh, I'm good, man. I just want to throw it out there. Yeah. The door open as far as I'm concerned. Whoever wants to hop on, the more the merrier. Like you're making the point. You have your knowledge. base and way of presenting and getting your message across. Like King Rich has his ways, we're all our unique individual selves that share certain truths or certain knowledge bases, and bringing these all together, especially at the same time. There's so much organically that comes out of sharing information in that way, and the more the merrier holds true, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, panel, dude, that'd be awesome. It'd be great.
That has been the goal for quite some time now. So make our goal, come true. And, we're not asking for a donation of anything but your expertise and your own time and your own ideas. A donation of your ideas is what we want, not necessarily the moolah. So
yeah, just your time and perspectives, man. That's what we want to share here.
But yeah, shout out to Austin. I picked up this Nirvana shirt for a big 100. It actually, I'd show you the back, but I don't know if my camera is going to pick it up because of the stupid green screen type effect it has. But it's the In Utero album, and that's kind of a long running kind of theme to our. We've covered Nirvana like, I don't know, 10 episodes or so. Like maybe not 10, but like probably at least 7. So like 7% of our channel has been Nirvana. And so,
well, I feel like that there'll probably be more of that, because the whole Nirvana and Kurt Cobain death, like you guys, like you said in the past, I've seen those episodes, or multiple of those episodes where you're decoding, throwing different. I learned a lot about actually the Kurt Cobain situation from this channel. Things I didn't know.
We were learning as we go too.
Yeah, well, Austin was up in that location, as well. So.
But yeah, always more to talk about. We're, hopefully, we'll get some suggestions for next week. But if not, we'll fill in the blanks. And thank you guys for 100 episodes. And yeah, thank you, Shaman, for your part in it as well. Thank you, Pooches, as well.
His name's Bird. He's a Bird. But hey, man, it's like always a great conversation. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say again, congrats on 100 in a row, dude. 100 weeks in a row. It's amazing. The Iron Man.
All right, everybody. Take care, guys. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next Sunday as usual.
Peace out, people of the world.
Later.